Boom, fireworks tore the night above Konohagakure, painting the sky with sharp bursts of color and thunderous noise. Down in the streets, voices rose in celebration. The village was holding its yearly festival to mark the defeat of the Kyuubi no Kitsune by the Yondaime Hokage 8 years ago. For many, it was a night of joy. For others, it reopened old wounds, memories of friends and family lost to the beast, grief that turned to anger. On a night like this, some people didn't just grieve, they hunted for someone to blame. Tonight, a few would go too far. Near the village center stood the imposing Uchiha compound, proud, feared, and one of Konoha's most powerful clans. They also ran a nearby precinct that was lit up and busy as officers worked overtime to keep the peace. Festivals meant too much sake and too many tipsy shinobi, and with so many patrols on duty, the compound should have been empty. Instead, a faint red glow leaked from the window of one of the dojos. Inside that dojo, 5 men crouched around an enormous seal carved into the floor. Each occupied a point of the pentagram at its center. In front of them burned candles with red flames, each set beside a silver stake driven into the wood. At a glance, the markings looked like a summoning circle, ancient and purpose-built. "Are you sure about this, Fugaku?" one of them whispered. "As sure as I can be," another snapped. "But bringing another demon into the village, is that wise? There has to be another way." A third protested softly. Fugaku's gaze cut across them like a blade. "You know the rules. Once a human performs a summoning, the summoned must carry out the task the summoner lays before them. We have tried everything to finish that fox. It refuses to die. It shrugged off our strongest genjutsu. If you want a demon to defeat a demon, we must bring in something greater. After it completes the task, we'll bind it with our seals and use it for our own ends." "We understand that, but enough." Fugaku's voice snapped as his sharingan began to spin. "I am clan head. My decision stands. We start now." Reluctant heads nodded. They gathered chakra, a low hum in the room, and when their reserves swelled, Fugaku gave the sign. Each took hold of the silver stake before them and poured chakra into the seal. They bit their thumbs and let drops of blood fall onto the metal. When the last bead of red touched Fugaku's stake, the air seemed to tighten. The atmosphere thrummed with a sudden, living energy. The seal's nature shifted, not visibly, but in the way it felt to them. What had been like emptying a cup into a lake turned into pouring into a bottomless maw. Not a lake anymore, a mouth, sucking at the energy in their bones as though it were a parasite. "This is it," Fugaku gritted, teeth clenched. "Demon from beyond, hear my call. Come forth, answer and obey, come." On his final shout, they unleashed everything left in their reserves in a single, violent push. The change was immediate and dramatic. The pentagram flared a deep crimson, while the outer ring glowed harsh white. The crimson flickered and folded into a dark pool in the center. Shadows pooled and crept until the pentagram vanished beneath them. Then, against the glowing ring, the black mass recoiled and drew itself inward. From that center, a silhouette rose, as if standing up from a slowly elevating platform. Shadows clung to it like tar trying to hold a thing down. Finally, the figure stopped rising and the circle of white winked out. Standing before them was a man-sized presence, about 6.5 feet tall. Fugaku's face split into a triumphant grin. "It worked! A demon from the beyond, come to slay the fox of our village. That accursed Kyuubi won't stand a chance." He turned and barked the order. "Demon, hunt down and kill the one called Kyuubi no Kitsune." The figure didn't move. Its head tilted back and the room filled with a resonant, amused rumble. The demon was laughing. Anger flushed the Uchiha faces. "How dare you laugh? We summoned you so you will obey. Kill the Kyuubi," someone snarled. The laughter swelled, a sound that mixed mockery and fury. Fugaku stamped his foot. "Silence, I am your summoner, your master. You are bound by the contract. Obey or be punished." The laughter subsided enough for the figure to speak. "You seem fond of titles, human. Don't call me your slave." There was an edge to the voice. "Keep insisting and that won't end well for you." "Are you threatening me?" Fugaku snapped. His sharingan flared. "Not a threat, an observation." The figure's tone was calm, almost clinical. "Yes, you summon me. I am bound by the contract, but contracts have terms. I won't act until we have a real agreement. Without it, I do nothing." Fugaku scoffed. "That's a formality. I called you here, I command you, that is enough." "Foolish mortal," the thing said, and the warm room turned colder. If I do anything for you, it will cost you something in the end. Demand without consent and I will tear you open, consume your souls, and leave. That is not idle talk. A demon you may be, but I am the head of the Uchiha, Fugaku snapped back. I have never been beaten, certainly not by some shadow dweller. Fear, is it? The demon mused, almost amused. Allow me to show you what real fear is. It opened its coat, red trench and cowl framing a predatory face. A wide-brimmed red fedora sat on its head, a black band wrapped neat around the crown. A white-gloved hand lifted the cowl. Beneath the fabric the face was sharp and hard, no softness, all angles. The demon removed thick red-lensed spectacles. When its eyes met Fugaku's, the room went still. They were the color of fresh blood, terrifying, yes, but more terrifying were the things reflected in them. Hunger, death, and an absolute, casual willingness to destroy. It was a look that spoke of killing for sport. A small smile flickered across Fugaku's features as fear edged him. Now we know you, let us negotiate. But the task you have given cannot be done, the demon said flatly. Why, is it stronger than you? Another elder demanded. The demon's gaze slid to the speaker with cold contempt. I told you to hold your tongue. I do not speak to underlings twice. There was a long pause, and then, answering Fugaku, it growled low. You ordered me to kill the Kyuubi no Kitsune. I am more powerful than it, yes, but I cannot kill one of the 9 Biju. Those beasts are woven into the balance of your world. Destroying one would threaten that balance. Why do you want the Kyuubi dead? Fugaku's jaw tightened. 8 years ago it attacked our village, slaughtering many without cause. Our leader managed to bind it into human form with a forbidden sealing technique. Since then, we've tried everything to finish it off, but nothing works. Some among us thought, if we cannot kill it, perhaps a greater demon could. Hence this summoning, kill it before the seal weakens and it returns to slaughter us all. I see, the demon replied flatly. His gaze narrowed as thoughts swirled in his mind. Kurama breaking one of the laws, yet never being summoned before the council. If the attack truly happened without provocation, the council should have judged him long ago, especially if this was 8 years past. Something doesn't add up. He paused, frowning briefly before continuing. I cannot destroy the Kyuubi for many reasons. However, if your tale proves true, then Kurama has violated several demonic laws. By right, he must be returned to the demon realm for judgment. Will that suffice? Do whatever you want, Fugaku snapped, fury crackling in his voice. Just get that beast out of my village. Very well, the demon said smoothly, sliding his glasses back into place and turning to leave. Wait, Fugaku called, his tone suddenly uneasy. What about our agreement? What's your price? The demon glanced back, his lips twitching into the faintest of smiles. If what you've told me is the truth, then no payment is necessary. It is my duty to uphold the laws of my kind. But if I discover you've lied, Fugaku Uchiha, the cost will be your soul. Fugaku stiffened, his jaw clenching. You know my name, demon, yet you haven't offered your own. The demon's smirk deepened as he looked over his shoulder. Names carry power where I come from, but if it comforts you, call me Alucard. With that, he stepped out of the Uchiha compound, inhaling deeply before exhaling a long, steady sigh. This village is crawling with people, he thought grimly. Too many eyes, too many ears. I'll need help. Hopefully she's awake this time. Striding into a darkened alley, Alucard crouched, pressing his palm to the ground. His voice dropped into a low whisper. Siras, come to me, hear the call, Siras Victoria. A familiar, teasing voice answered almost instantly. Master, was it really necessary to yell? I was trying to get my beauty sleep. Alucard turned toward her voice. Emerging from the shadows stood a young woman in her early 20s, her golden blonde hair tied back loosely, crimson eyes glinting beneath her bangs. She wore fingerless leather gloves, a blood-red blouse tucked into a short skirt, and thigh-high boots that matched her gloves. A jacket clung tightly to her figure, leaving little to the imagination. She was the embodiment of dangerous allure. Don't get smart with me, girl, Alucard snarled. Siras rolled her eyes. Please, you only drag me along when you need backup. I've stuck with you through everything. We both know I've earned the right to talk back once in a while. He grunted. Did you bring them? Of course, master. When have I ever failed you? She said, feigning offense. With a tired sigh, Siras produced 2 black cases from behind her. Alucard's hands blurred as he popped them open, retrieving massive black pistols, one in each hand. After a moment of silent inspection, he slid them into his coat. Sierra's balanced an oversized rifle across her shoulders, her crimson eyes gleaming with anticipation. "So," she asked with uncharacteristic cheer, "who's the target?" Alucard raised a brow at her tone but didn't comment. "The human vessel of the Kyuubi no Kitsune." "Perfect. Let's go find him," she froze, her face tightening. "Wait, the Kyuubi, you mean Lord Kurama? Are we actually going after him? Is that even possible?" Alucard's expression was unreadable. "Of course not. Killing a Biju Lord would plunge the world into ruin. We're only here to locate him and drag him back to the demon realm. If Fugaku's story holds true, Kurama attacked this place years ago and was bound into human form." "But that's forbidden in Makai," Sierra gasped. "Correct," Alucard said dryly. "He should have faced the council long ago, yet the council hasn't convened in nearly a decade. Kurama, arrogant as he is, would never flee from his crime, nor would he allow humans to accuse him of something he didn't do." Sierra's frowned, tapping her chin. "Unless something's preventing him," Alucard fixed her with a long stare. "What?" she snapped. "Kurama is the mightiest of the Biju lords. To truly suppress his power would take something stronger than my limiter seal. Humans have nothing remotely close to that." He suddenly froze, nostrils flaring, head whipping toward the side. "Master?" Sierra asked softly, unsettled by his sudden shift. His voice dropped to a low growl. "Blood, fresh. And plenty of it." Sierra closed her eyes, inhaling deeply. When they opened, her irises glowed faintly. "You're right, and it's strange. Mostly human but laced with demon essence. A Hanyu?" "No," Alucard muttered. "Too much human, but that demonic trace, it's Kitsune. Fugaku claimed Kurama was sealed into human form, yet this scent doesn't match. Far too much humanity. Something is off." Without another word, he turned sharply and began to follow the trail. "Come, we still have work to do." "Right behind you," Sierra shouted, sprinting to catch up. For nearly an hour they followed the scent, slowed by the mass of villagers around them. "Master," Sierra groaned, "we've been at this forever. Can't we stop for just a minute?" "No. Oh, come on. We're not even closer than when we started." He turned on her sharply, eyes gleaming behind his glasses. "Your point, Draculina?" Sierra swallowed hard. He only called her that when his temper was razor-thin. "I just thought maybe if we paused we could." She froze, head snapping to the side. "The scent, it's close." Alucard smirked faintly. "How convenient. Enough wandering like mortals. Take to the skies, find the source. Wait for me." Sierra grinned darkly. "Yes, master." She crouched low, her arm twisting and morphing until black, bat-like wings with crimson veins spread wide. With a single powerful thrust, she shot into the night sky, leaving only a red streak behind. Alucard, meanwhile, melted into the shadows of a building, vanishing completely. High above, Sierra let the wind whip her face as she scanned the streets, nearly breaking the sound barrier. "Focus, Machir," a calm voice echoed in her mind. "I know how to do my job," she snapped internally. "I don't need commentary from the peanut gallery. Excusez-moi. I vas only offering advice," her spectral companion teased. She scowled. "The last time you gave me advice, it was to kiss a girl in the throne room." "It would have been entertaining," he chuckled. "For you, maybe not for me," she snapped. The voice laughed softly. "Not my fault I only got one kiss from you, Sierra. A man has to live somehow." Sierra sighed but let the banter fade as her sharp senses locked onto something strange. "Wait, is the blood trail moving?" she asked silently. After a pause, her familiar answered. "Oui. It's shifting and fast." That explains why tracking it vast so difficult. Her lips curled into a wry smile. "Thanks for confirming I'm not crazy. You just said that to a voice only you can hear," he quipped. Sierra ignored him, diving sharply and landing on a rooftop. She restored her arm, readied her massive rifle, and aimed down at the crowd gathering in a small square. As her third eye scanned the people, her stomach twisted. "Master," she whispered harshly as Alucard appeared behind her, "I think we were given the wrong target." Alucard's eyes narrowed as he saw. Indeed. Through her enhanced vision, Sierra's locked on to the source. A boy barely 7 or 8 years old. Spiky blonde hair, piercing blue eyes, 3 faint whisker-like marks on his cheeks. His shirt was tattered, his shorts worn thin, and his body frail from hunger and neglect. Dirt and filth clung to him. The demon child they had been sent to find was Naruto Uzumaki. All of that was background noise to them. What truly froze the two blood-soaked vampires in their fury was the sight at the center of the square. Nearly 40 villagers had surrounded a single boy, forming a hostile barricade of flesh and rage. Some hurled stones, rotten food, or any filth they could grab. Others brandished blades or makeshift clubs, ready to strike if he dared move. The boy's body told the story, cuts, welts, and bruises layered over trembling limbs. This wasn't the first time they had cornered him like this. I suppose they trapped Lord Kurama in a human body, and worse, in the body of a child, Sirez murmured, her tone caught between sympathy and disbelief. Alucard's eyes glowed with restrained hatred. No, Sirez, that isn't Kurama in disguise, she blinked, startled. Then who, what is he? That child isn't a demon at all. He's human, a Jinchuriki, Alucard growled, venom seeping into every word. He continued, voice low and dangerous. No human seal could ever bind Kurama forever, but they've found another method. They use their own young as vessels. A newborn's body can adapt, reshape itself, until it can withstand even a demon's presence. Over time, it builds tolerance, learns to survive what should destroy it. And because of that burden, the hosts are shunned, feared, hated. His lip curled back in disgust. But this, what we see here, is cruelty beyond comprehension. No child deserves this torment. These villagers are the true monsters. Sirez, fists clenched, her eyes darting to the mob. Master, if we intervene, we'll have to fight humans. That would mean breaking Makai law. We'd be branded no different than Kurama himself. Until they strike at us directly, our hands are tied. Her voice cracked with grief. Alucard's expression twisted into something darkly amused. We aren't here to protect some human brat. His grin widened, sharp and unhinged. We're here to safeguard Lord Kurama. We can't allow a demon lord to be slain by a rabid crowd of mortals. Come, Sirez, Kurama's vessel won't fall today. She stood tall, her own lips curving into a smirk. As you command, master. Down below, the abuse raged on. Rocks, bricks, anything with weight crashed against the boy's frail frame. Get out of our village, beast, one villager screamed. Die, you cursed demon, another spat. End this once and for all, howled a third, brandishing steel. 4 burly men with knives stepped forward, their smiles cruel, their intent obvious. Please someone, anyone, Jiji and Yusan, help me, the boy begged silently, his eye fluttering shut as footsteps approached. But the pain never landed. Instead, the sound of sharp detonations, like gunfire, ripped through the air. The cruel laughter of his would-be killers was replaced by horrified gasps. The boy forced one eye open. Before him stood a woman clad in crimson, crouched protectively. Beside her towered a tall figure in a long red coat and wide-brimmed hat. At their feet lay the mangled remains of his attackers. Who are you? The boy whispered weakly. The woman turned, giving him a soft smile. I'm Sirez Victoria, little one, we're here to help. His eyes lit up with fragile hope. Did Jiji send you? She paused, caught between honesty and kindness. At last she nodded gently. Yes, he did. Before more could be said, Alucard's voice cut through the air. Sirez, his condition, her expression darkened. Severe trauma, multiple fractures, internal bleeding. He won't last if we stay. Alucard gave a curt nod. Take him away, find somewhere safe, I'll join you soon. She lifted the boy carefully into her arms. And you? His grin widened, fangs glistening. I'll show these vermin what a true monster looks like. Sirez smirked faintly, crouching. Don't keep us waiting. With a powerful leap, she vanished across rooftops. The mob roared. Hey, you in the coat, one man shouted. Alucard turned, face impassive. Yeah, you, what the hell do you think you're doing? Another barked. Where'd the woman take the demon brat? Silence, Alucard thundered. You didn't see a demon. You saw an innocent child. Innocent, a villager spat. That thing's the Nine-Tails itself. Slaughter it and the souls of its victims will rest easy. This is justice. Who are you to deny it? Alucard's crimson eyes burned. Justice. You dare speak of justice while torturing a child? His tone dropped to a low growl. Those who harm the innocent forfeit their lives. You killed good men to protect a demon. That's no justice, that's treason. They intended to murder an innocent. I erased them. That is justice. Anger boiled over. Kill him, then we'll find the fox and that girl. A kunai whistled through the air, striking Alucard's skull. The paper tag ignited, erupting in an explosion that tore his head apart in a crimson mist. Cheers erupted. "He's dead! Now scatter, find the demon!" But a voice, deep and chilling, froze them. "Impressive for dogs." Every eye turned. Alucard's body rose again. The shreds of his head melted into black liquid, swirling, reforming until his face, hat, and grin returned. "You thought you slew a monster? No, dogs can't kill me. Only a man can." His gaze flared red, piercing into their souls. "You wanted to kill a demon, then come face one." He lifted his hands, fingers framing a rectangle before his eye. Shadows writhed at his back. Releasing restraints. Level 3, Level 2, Level 1. Situation A confirmed. Cromwell release authorized. From his body erupted massive black appendages, warping into monstrous arms that lashed outward. Some Uchiha in the mob activated their Sharingan, eyes whirling. But they gained nothing. The creature before them was no jutsu to copy. Realization struck too late. The new limbs seized villagers by their skulls, crushing bone, piercing hearts, casting bodies aside like broken dolls. The massacre unfolded swiftly. Only a handful of shinobi remained standing. Alucard dismissed his shadow arms, drawing his twin pistols, Jackal and Vulture. Their muzzles flared, and 3 more bodies collapsed, chests smoking from gaping holes. Panic broke them, survivors fled. But to Alucard's senses, they crawled like snails. He hunted 2 with ease, one headless, the other ripped in half. More shots rang out. 5 corpses dropped in pieces. The final pair he spared, their terror the perfect beacon to draw reinforcements. The blood pooled thick across the cobblestones. Alucard drank it in, every drop feeding the abyss within him. At last, sated, he stepped into the shadow of a lamppost and melted away, leaving the square painted in crimson silence. A heartbeat later, he stepped out from beneath the broad canopy of an ancient oak in one of Konoha's public gardens. Nearby, Siraz knelt beside the boy, sheltering him in the shadow of a huge boulder. When Alucard drew near, she rose, turned, and gave a small, respectful bow. "You arrived quicker than I expected, master," she murmured. Kurama's energy usually mends him, but this time the boy's body has taken too much damage. The fox is flooding him with life force to repair it, but Naruto can't endure it. The demon's power tears him apart even as it tries to heal him. He told me his name, Naruto Uzumaki. So the same force that should save him is killing him instead. That's problematic if we want him alive. Alucard's tone was almost rueful. "Will he survive?" "No," Sira's reply came after a short, heavy pause. "He won't last the night. It's a wonder he's still breathing." "A remarkable waste," Alucard sniffed. "Master," Siraz asked, hesitant, "why does his fate matter to you so much? I've never seen you like this. It's unsettling." Alucard didn't react at first. He only stared up at the moon. After a couple of minutes, he finally spoke. "He stirs something in me. I see a reflection of my younger self, someone desperate to be proven worthy, someone who refuses to yield unless death takes him." "Oh," Siraz sounded surprised, then apologetic. "I didn't realize." Alucard inclined his head, something like a sad smile ghosting his features. "Neither did I until very recently. Beyond that, he's a fighter. There's a fierce resolve in him. Had he lived, he would have grown into a man who could stand against monsters." Siraz looked down at Naruto again, worry wrinkling her brow. "But master, what will we do? You swore to return Lord Kurama to the demon realm, yet if we do that here, the world's energies will tear Naruto apart and possibly destroy the fox too." A curious spark lit Alucard's eyes. "Lift him. Come with me." "Where to, master?" she asked, as she carefully eased Naruto onto her back. "To his home. He'll need certain things if he's to live among us comfortably." Alucard walked without pausing. The words hit Siraz like a physical blow. She nearly dropped the boy. Did you say he'll live with us?" Alucard didn't slow his pace. "You heard correctly." She tightened her hold, breathless. "But master, he's human. He won't last long in our realm." Her face flushed as a realization dawned. "You don't mean you're going to make him one of us, do you?" The vampire's smile widened, unreadable. "Master," Siraz protested. "You promised the council I'd be your final child." "You're right, I did make that promise." Alucard's voice was steady as he climbed the stairwell toward Naruto's apartment. "Still, I am bound by the duty given by the summoner." I cannot complete that duty if the boy remains human. He would die. I must break my vow and alter him so the task can be finished. With that, he kicked the apartment door inward and strode inside, then slipped back out into the street. Gather what you can and open a portal. There are matters I must attend to before we depart. Outside, 6 shinobi in matching armor stood waiting, ceramic masks painted with animal faces hiding their features. The one with a bear mask spoke first. Identify yourself and declare your village. The masked figure with the rabbit emblem warned, understand that your deeds tonight amount to an act of war for your village. Alucard peered over the rims of his spectacles. I am Alucard. I am not of your petty villages. The mask labeled Owl answered coldly. Then, as a rogue, you are under arrest for murdering 27 civilians and 17 of Konohagakure's shinobi. Will you surrender, or will we be forced to subdue you and take you for interrogation? Your laws do not bind me. Alucard's eyes gleamed. You are weak. You cannot face me, dogs. Soldiers, your duty is done, now rest eternal. At that, the ANBU drew their swords and lunged. Alucard stood perfectly still as they advanced. Rat attacked first, his blade arcing down. Alucard slipped beneath the strike, and in an instant, his arm blurred, converting a simple chop into a fatal blow that split the masked man in two. Falcon launched a torrent of shuriken. They passed through Alucard like mist, then returned with murderous intent, shredding Falcon. Bear attempted to use Earth Jutsu, but Alucard vanished and reappeared with fangs at Rabbit's throat. The remaining ANBU scrambled up to the safety of a nearby rooftop. Alucard watched them go, casually draining the life from the fallen rabbit-masked shinobi. What is this? Bear whispered, panting, incredulous. How is he moving like that? He's using something akin to a jutsu, Weasel murmured. Why do you think that? Owl demanded. When he moves, his legs don't seem to, Weasel answered. He doesn't run. He vanishes and appears elsewhere, almost like the Yondame's flying thunder god. Plan, Owl interrupted. I'll paralyze him with static cloud. Bear, seal him with an earth torrent. Weasel, finish him with a genjutsu. They leaped down to the street, but their quarry and the bodies were gone. What the hell? Bear roared. Owl peered into a dark alley. Turning away, he felt a light touch on his chest but dismissed it. Moments later, he collapsed in a spreading pool of blood. His heart had been hollowed out. He tried to cry out, but death claimed him. Bear charged to help and barely made 3 steps when a splotch of red and black flashed past. He felt innumerable filaments crawling over his skin. Then, with impossible suddenness, deep lacerations tore him apart. His final sight was Weasel removing his mask. Weasel dropped to the ground, took a stance, and gripped his blade with deadly intensity. His Sharingan whirled, intent blazing. Give up hope, you face an Uchiha. I have never been defeated. Alucard's grin widened. How delightful. Now I can collect my due from your proud clan. Weasel focused, sending chakra into his eyes, pushing them to a higher plane. The Tamo twisted until they formed a tri-spoked, shuriken-like pattern. This ends now. Tsukiyomi. Darkness swallowed Alucard for a heartbeat. When sight returned, he found himself pinned to a wooden stake in an endless void, surrounded by 100 facsimiles of Weasel brandishing cruel blades. Welcome to my nightmare, one intoned as it drew closer. Here you will suffer for 72 hours while your body is sealed away, powerless to resist even the Kyuubi. Is that all? Alucard drawled, bored. Another would-be man, in truth nothing but a cur's toy. How disappointing. With a lazy flick, he snapped the chains that bound him. Weasel's pupils dilated in shock. Impossible. Tsukiyomi cannot be broken. If that is your ultimate illusion, your clan is far weaker than I imagined. Alucard removed his glasses and met the Uchiha's gaze. Now witness a true illusion, Itachi Uchiha. Alucard's eyes flashed. Most of the Weasel images vanished. One remained, falling to its knees. Alucard's fanged smile returned. Hear this and obey, mortal. Soon you will slaughter your family. When you do, carve an inverted cross into their corpses. When you slay your father, whisper into his ear, thus is your price to the demon paid. Thus is our dark contract fulfilled. Afterward, your mind will return to you, weighed by the knowledge of your deed. This is the toll I take for your clan's arrogance. Now break your illusion. Weasel's eyes closed, the world came back. He collapsed, spent and unconscious. At that moment the air hummed with power. Sirras had opened the portal. Siras, Alucard called, sending the word into her mind. Yes, master, she answered. Take the boy through. Lay him upon the great seal in the throne room. It will shield him from our realm's energies until I arrive. His tone brooked no argument. As you command, master. Siras stepped into the dark gateway, Naruto bundled on her back, and the portal cut off behind her. Alucard stood calmly, his crimson eyes tracking a squad of about 20 shinobi rushing toward him. Nearly all of them wore the familiar porcelain masks of the ANBU, moving in formation with deadly precision. Only one stood apart, a man clad in black armor reinforced at the shoulders, thighs, and forearms, with a massive staff balanced on his shoulder. His helmet revealed a sharp white goatee, and the deep lines carved into his face spoke of both age and burden. The entire squad halted a few feet away from the ancient vampire. The armored elder stepped forward, preparing to speak, but Alucard cut him off with an elegant bow, removing his wide-brimmed hat. Greetings, Hiruzen Sarutobi, third Hokage of Konohagakure. It is a pleasure to finally meet you. His tone carried both amusement and respect. Though Sarutobi looked every bit the aging leader, Alucard could sense raw strength and authority in him, reminiscent of a certain butler he had once known long ago. The Hokage blinked in surprise at the vampire's courtesy. I cannot say the feeling is mutual. I don't even know who you are, and I have not come to exchange pleasantries. Straight to business, then, Alucard replied smoothly, shrugging lightly. You may call me Alucard. What is it you wish to ask? Sarutobi's gaze hardened. Why did you slaughter so many civilians and shinobi this night? It was necessary, Alucard said without hesitation. I found them gathered around a boy. Discipline is one thing, but assembling a mob to beat a child? No, they were trying to kill him, and only monsters would murder a child in cold blood. The Hokage's face grew weary as he exhaled slowly. I see. Then tell me, why did you strike down the ANBU patrol? And where is the child you claim to have saved? They attacked when I refused to be taken prisoner, Alucard answered flatly. I was accused of killing your people, but I do not consider stopping those who prey upon innocence a crime. Most would call it justice. Silence stretched between them before Sarutobi pressed further. And the boy. Where is Naruto Uzumaki? Dead, Alucard replied as if it were the simplest truth. At that, a silver-haired ANBU in a dog mask bristled. So you save him from a mob only to kill him yourself? Hypocrite. Couldn't you at least? The words died in his throat as Alucard's gaze sharpened. Shadows thickened unnaturally, the air grew heavy, and the dim street seemed to drown in darkness. Crimson eyes glowed from within the void, and an oppressive aura crushed down upon the shinobi, forcing several to their knees. When he finally spoke, his voice rumbled deep enough to shake their bones. A demon I may be, mortal, but I do not harm humans without cause, and I would never stoop so low as to hurt a child. Only humans commit such vile acts. The weight lifted as suddenly as it came. Sarutobi stood firm, though his eyes narrowed with thought. My apologies for my subordinate's words, Alucard-san, the Hokage said steadily. If you tell us where Naruto's body lies, I will allow you to leave. It seems my shinobi were mistaken tonight. I would tell you, but he is not finished with his body yet, Alucard said with a faint smirk. The dog-masked ANBU tilted his head. What does that mean? You just said he was dead. The boy did die, Alucard explained, but I have chosen to bring him back as something more. My servant has already taken him to our home in the underworld. Sarutobi's stern mask faltered. Will he ever return? If he wishes it, yes, Alucard answered. He stepped toward the shadows, then paused to glance back one last time. But know this, if he comes back, it will not be as Naruto Uzumaki. That boy perished tonight. What will return is Naruto Teeps, the no-life prince. I swear it on my honor as the no-life king. With that, the vampire dissolved into darkness. The Hokage's expression hardened as he watched the last trace of shadow fade. Clean this up, he ordered his ANBU. Then, turning to the silver-haired one, he added, In you, consult Inoichi. Search the old archives for anything on this no-life king. Yes, Lord Hokage, Inu said, vanishing into the night. Sarutobi gazed at the stars, his heart heavy. Naruto, wherever you are, may you find the happiness denied to you here. Live well, and one day, come home. Alucard emerged from the shadow of a jagged boulder and surveyed the land before him. The underworld was as grim as ever, its sky painted in endless twilight, glowing blood red like the final breath of a dying sun. The ground was covered in pale tan grass, broken by great purple-gray stones jutting from the earth. Rising in the distance was a towering black hill, a colossal knuckle of stone piercing the sky like a dark tower. At its base stood fortified walls, encircling a sprawling city. This was Shadowfang, the capital of the vampires. Nearly 25,000 of their kind lived here, many choosing not to feed on humans, but all dangerous beyond measure. The obsidian walls stretched 60 feet high and 20 feet thick, warding off intruders with the strength of a fortress. For outsiders, stepping inside was akin to embracing death. Further up the hill, even greater walls encased the manors of the oldest and most powerful vampires, beings who had walked the earth for over 1,000 years and could tear a cage apart with ease. At the summit stood the final ring, massive barriers 150 feet tall, protecting a palace unlike any other. Two towers pierced the sky, their black stone etched with runes, marking the infamous Bloodborne Hall, the throne of the no-life king. Alucard stepped through shadow and reappeared within his throne room. The chamber stretched vast as a stadium, its balconies and crimson window casting ominous light upon a raised dais. Upon it stood his throne of midnight stone, gilded in precious metals and gems. Before the platform, a silver circle inscribed with a 13-pointed star glowed faintly, and at its center lay Naruto's broken body. Sirez knelt just outside the barrier. "Does his heart still beat?" Alucard's voice cut the silence. Sirez jumped, startled. "Master, I didn't sense you." "Yes, somehow, though his body is shattered beyond reason, his heart still fights." Alucard's lips curved into a grin. "He refuses to surrender, even after all he has endured. He would have grown into a fine man. Let us see if he is willing to trade that future for another chance at life." He stepped into the circle, immediately feeling its draining effect. The barrier suppressed supernatural beings, stripping them of power. Only his immense strength allowed him to resist it. The king knelt, roughly shaking the boy awake. Naruto's blue eyes fluttered open, locking on the figure beside him. You're the one who saved me," he whispered weakly. "Indeed," Alucard confirmed. Naruto glanced around in confusion before wincing from pain. "This place, I don't recognize it." "Where am I?" "You are in the throne room of my palace in Shadowfang, the heart of the underworld," Alucard replied. Naruto's eyes widened in shock. "The underworld? Then I really am dead." He clutched himself, curling in agony as the truth sank in. "No, you're not dead, at least, not yet." Alucard's tone cut sharp and cold. "The pain tearing through your body is because death has already begun to claim you. Nothing in this world can stop that. One way or another, your life ends tonight. But," his crimson eyes gleamed, "I can offer you something else. A way to ensure that death is not your final chapter." What do you mean?" Naruto gasped, clutching at his stomach as another wave of agony shot through him. Alucard stared down at him with a chilling stillness. "I can grant you survival, but I cannot stop your death. What I give is a rebirth, a life beyond life, but it comes at a terrible cost. So I ask you, do you truly wish to continue breathing? Even if the price damns you?" Naruto's wide eyes flickered with panic before narrowing with fierce resolve. The pain was almost unbearable, but he forced himself to think past it. His body trembled, his vision blurred, but his will burned. I refused to die here. I swore I'd become Hawkeye, no matter what stood in my way. If death thinks it can stop me, it's wrong. I'll live no matter the cost." A dark grin spread across Alucard's face, predatory and cruel. "So be it, boy. Remember, this is your choice. Never regret it. The day you regret this path will be the day you perish for real. And now steel yourself. This will hurt worse than dying." His mouth opened unnaturally wide, gleaming fangs extending. In a blur, Alucard sank his teeth deep into Naruto's shoulder. At first, Naruto felt a sting. Then his entire body exploded with searing pain, every nerve screaming at once. His vision fractured into shadows and sparks until the darkness swallowed him whole. Naruto's eyes fluttered open to a pitch-black space. He lay in shallow water, or at least he prayed it was only water. Forcing himself up, he scanned the emptiness, until his gaze landed on a massive gate towering in front of him. A slip of paper with the kanji for seal clung to its lock. Hesitant but curious, Naruto stepped forward. Before he could get close, Several gigantic red claws shot out between the bars, swiping at him with terrifying speed. Missed, a deep, rumbling voice laughed mockingly. "You're faster than I thought, brat." "What the hell?" Naruto yelled, stumbling back. From behind the gate, two monstrous blood-red eyes opened, glaring with fury and hate. Naruto's breath hitched at the sheer malice radiating from them. "Finally, you've arrived," the voice growled. "I was getting bored, and nothing entertains me like ripping something apart." "Who the hell are you?" Naruto demanded. Light suddenly spilled across the cage, revealing an enormous fox, its crimson fur bristling, 9 tails swaying like weapons behind it. "I am the Kyuubi no Kitsune, lord of the fox demons, mightiest of the 9 Biju," the beast roared, shaking the chamber. Naruto's eyes widened. "But that's impossible, you're supposed to be dead. The 4th Hokage killed you when you attacked the village." The fox's laugh was like thunder. "Foolish human, no one can kill me. Your precious Hokage only sealed me here inside you. He thought I'd be trapped forever." Naruto's fists clenched, rage burning hotter than fear. "So you're the reason everyone hates me, all those beatings, the attempts on my life, every time I had to hide on my birthday just to survive, it's all because of you. I hate you, so what if you do?" the beast sneered. "You're just a weak little human, I am power incarnate, you can't touch me." "I'm not afraid of you, bastard," Naruto shot back, glaring. "That seal keeps you locked up. You can't do anything as long as it's there." The fox chuckled darkly. "This seal?" Naruto froze. A faint hiss echoed through the chamber. He turned to see the sealing tag smoldering, embers spreading until the paper burned to ash. His eyes widened in horror. With a single swipe of its massive paw, the Kyuubi shattered the gate. The beast stretched lazily as it stepped through, eyes glowing like pools of blood. "Any last words before I devour you?" it taunted. "Yeah," Naruto smirked through his fear. "I hope I give you the worst case of indigestion ever." Snarling, the fox lunged, jaws wide. But before it could clamp down, a massive blade of shadow pierced its side, hurling the monster across the chamber. After all these centuries, you're still nothing but an animal," a deep voice echoed. "What a disappointment. I despise killing beasts." Naruto spun around. A man emerged from the wall itself like a phantom. Steel armor covered his frame, a longsword at his hip. A shredded black cape trailed behind him, wild black hair framing a stern, scarred face. A mustache and goatee twisted into a sly smirk. "Teeps!" the Kyuubi spat venomously. "What are you doing in the boy's mind?" The man grinned wider. "What, no warm welcome from my old partner, and here I thought we were friends." "Friends?" the fox scoffed. "You were never my friend, parasite. Only a business partner, and that ended long ago. Now tell me why you're here before I finish what I started." The man's grin sharpened, eyes glinting with madness. "Simple. I'm here to protect my newest fledgling. Why else would I walk into this prison?" The Kyuubi's eyes narrowed. You wouldn't dare." "Oh, I dared," Teep said, voice dripping with satisfaction. "And I did. Welcome to immortality, Kurama. My new familiar will be your jailer." His smirk twisted into insanity. Naruto, too exhausted and confused to make sense of it all, collapsed into unconsciousness. The next day, back in Konoha, the 3rd Hokage sat buried in paperwork as usual, the endless forms stacked like mountains around him. He rubbed his temples, muttering curses under his breath, until a knock came at his door. "Enter," Hiruzen said without looking up. An ANBU wearing an Inu mask slipped inside, a folder tucked under his arm. Closing the door silently, he approached the desk and stood at attention. Hiruzen quickly finished signing the scroll before setting his pen aside and glancing up. "Ah, Inu, I assume you and Inoichi found something." The ANBU gave a curt nod. Without another word, Hiruzen bit his thumb and pressed a drop of blood against the window. Chakra seals shimmered to life across the office, locking the room in silence. The masked figure removed his disguise, revealing silver hair and a single, weary eye. "Thank you, Kakashi," Hiruzen said gravely. "Now, tell me what you've discovered." Kakashi opened the folder and spread several documents across the desk. "No clear answers, but we gathered enough fragments to piece together some possibilities. With Shikaku's analysis and Inoichi's insight, we developed a few theories." "Show me." Hiruzen folded his hands, expression stern. Kakashi pulled out a yellowed parchment, worn with age. "This came from the Shadame's catacombs under the Senju compound. It lists the demon lords of the underworld. Here, Bahamut, Dragon King, Chomai, Lord of Beetles, Juki, Lord of Oxen, and one more. Drakwithar, the No-Life King, ruler of the Fanged Ones. The scroll also mentioned 13 lesser lords serving under him. That much authority suggests he's among the highest in the demonic hierarchy and unimaginably powerful. Hiruzen exhaled slowly. We saw a glimpse of that power when he walked our streets. Kakashi nodded grimly, flipping to another fragment of a book. This manuscript tells of a prince who bargained with Yama for eternal life. His death was only the beginning. His body rose again, his soul bound to darkness. His name was Vlad Tepes III, Prince of Wallachia. In death, he became the no-life king Drakwithar. Drakwithar, why does this demon have so many names? The Hawkage muttered, frowning as he read the document spread before him. We were puzzled by the same thing, Kakashi replied, leaning back in his chair. After digging a little deeper, we found an explanation. Drakwithar comes from an ancient, long-forgotten language and roughly translates to Lord of Shadow. We also found mentions of beings called Dracula or Alucard. It seems these are just variations, mispronunciations of the same name, but every lead eventually traced back to a man named Vladimir Tepes. So, that means this no-life king has a bunch of names? The Hawkage asked, his voice heavy with fatigue. All I've got is that he's insanely powerful, commands minions, and rules over a demonic race known as the Fanged Ones. Kakashi nodded. Exactly, and judging by the age of the documents, this demon isn't new. He's been around since long before the Sage of Six Paths walked this world. Based on our estimates, he's somewhere between 7,000 and 8,000 years old. As for the Fanged Ones, we couldn't find a complete description, but we did gather some details. They're called the dead who walk at night, soulless shadows, demons that feed on men's souls, blood-borne monsters, lords of twilight. That's not exactly helpful, the Hawkage muttered. I know, Kakashi admitted, but that's all we could uncover. Beyond that, almost every reference pointed back to one of his other names rather than directly to Drakwithar. He let out a long sigh. The Hawkage closed his eyes, letting the information sink in. After a moment, he opened them slowly. All right, what's your take? I have a few ideas, but I want to hear your thoughts first. Kakashi gathered the papers and leaned back, thoughtful. Here's our theory. Thousands of years ago, a man named Vladimir Tepes made a deal for immortality and became the demon known as Drakwithar. Since then, he's been steadily growing in power. Based on where he appears on lists of demon lords, his strength might rival that of the Kyuubi. That still doesn't tell me what kind of demon he is, the Hawkage said. All signs point to one thing. We believe the no-life king rules over vampires. He's the immortal leader of a race that feeds on souls, is undead in nature, and multiplies through blood. Nothing else we found fits. Kakashi's voice was calm, measured. I came to the same conclusion, the Hawkage admitted, shaking his head. Though I'll admit, it's hard to accept that fairy tale monsters like vampires could be real. You did fight a 50-story-tall nine-tailed fox once, Kakashi remarked with a faint smile. The Hawkage chuckled softly. I know, but sometimes I can't even believe that happened myself. Their brief laughter faded, replaced by the weight of the situation. So, what do we do now, my lord? Kakashi asked earnestly. For now, nothing, the Hawkage replied. We'll keep this information to ourselves. If the council gets wind of it, chaos will erupt. Beyond that, we wait and watch. That's not really a plan. That's just hoping for the best, Kakashi commented. If you have a better suggestion, I'm listening, the Hawkage said with a faint smile. Kakashi raised his hands defensively. Hey, I was just pointing it out, didn't mean to start trouble. I know, Kakashi, and thank you for your help, the Hawkage said, his smile strained but sincere. Kakashi stood, bowed, and headed for the door. He paused halfway, turning back. If that demon was telling the truth, when Naruto comes back, he'll be a vampire. I doubt the council will react kindly to a bloodsucker walking freely in the village. If we're lucky, they'll do something ridiculously foolish, the Hawkage said, smirking. And I'll handle it when the time comes, just like I should have before. Yes, sir, until later. Kakashi left, leaving the Hawkage to his thoughts, dreams, and nightmares. 36 hours after Naruto was bitten, inside Bloodborne Hall, Naruto awoke with a pounding headache, lying in a strange bed. He groaned as he tried to sit up, but the effort left him dizzy. With a frustrated sigh, he curled into a ball, head between his knees. He heard a door creak open. "Oh, you're awake," a cheerful voice said. Naruto cracked one eye to see a young woman at the foot of the bed. She seemed familiar, memories of recent events clicked into place. "Sira's, right, you and that tall guy saved me from the mob," Sira's grinned, revealing a pair of unusually large fangs. "You remembered my name. That's great. I have a question for you, though. After we rescued you, we went to your apartment for some things. Do you remember what happened next?" Naruto tried sitting again, this time leaning against the headboard for support. "You used some kind of space-time jutsu. One second I was in my room, the next, I was in some huge building on the floor. My body felt like it was on fire. Then that tall guy showed up and asked me if I wanted to live or die." "And what did you say?" Sira's prompted. "I said I want to live, no matter what." Naruto's expression hardened with determination. Sira's shoulders slumped slightly. "Good, you remember your choice." "My choice?" Naruto frowned. Her crimson eyes softened with sadness. "Naruto, I'm sorry, but after my master, Alucard, heard your answer, you died." "Wait, I'm dead." Naruto's eyes widened. "Technically," Sira said slowly. "But Master Alucard brought you back." Naruto's brows furrowed. "How? No one can come back from the dead," Sira smirked. "Alucard is powerful beyond measure. He can do things that seem impossible, but even he can't truly raise the dead." "Not exactly, you became something else." Naruto blinked. "Something else? You're a vampire now," she said simply. "You wanted to live no matter what, so here you are." Naruto paused, staring at her fangs and crimson eyes, slowly realizing she was serious. Vampires were real, and now maybe he was one too. He tried to sense his heartbeat. Nothing. He had been holding his breath unconsciously, but he felt no pain, his fear reflected in her eyes. "You're not joking, right?" he whispered. Sira shook her head. His shoulders slumped, then he straightened, eyes lighting up. "So, if I'm a vampire, I get to do all the cool stuff from the movies?" Naruto asked, excitement bubbling. She nodded, utterly confused. Grinning ear to ear, Naruto practically bounced in the bed. "That means I can be the strongest, most amazing ninja ever. I'll become the greatest Hokage, even cooler than the Yondaime." Sira stared, baffled. "It's his reason for living his dream," Alucard's voice echoed in their telepathic link. "I see that, but what's a Hokage?" she asked. "The leader and strongest protector of his village," Alucard explained. "He believes becoming Hokage will make everyone accept him, despite the fox inside him." "No vampire could ever lead humans," Sira said dryly. "Perhaps, but to him it doesn't matter. Being a vampire is just another way to grow stronger and prove himself." "He's definitely an interesting kid," she admitted, ending the link. Looking around, she froze. The blood packs she had brought were drained, discarded on the floor. Naruto was in front of a full-length mirror, poking at his reflection. "Did you drink those?" she asked, gesturing to the packs. "Of course, I figured I'm a vampire now." "And weirdly, they taste a lot like ramen," Naruto said, grinning, returning to examining himself in the mirror. Sira's blinked in astonishment, her eyes widening. "He's not even a day old, and he's already fine drinking human blood. What kind of person is he?" she wondered. "He's someone who's endured far too much pain already," Bernadette replied softly. "So naturally, I'm very curious why he's staring at his reflection. It's unusual." "What are you doing?" Sira asked, tilting her head toward Naruto. "I'm trying to figure out who that guy is on the other side of the window, and why he's copying me," Naruto said seriously, without a hint of a joke. Sira laughed. "It's not a window, it's a mirror. There's no one on the other side. That's just you. He doesn't look like me at all, and vampires aren't supposed to have reflections," Naruto said confidently. Sira chuckled again and moved to stand beside him, letting him see her reflection as well. Naruto's eyes went wide. The realization hit him hard. He looked at his own reflection and studied it carefully. Gone was the 8-year-old boy everyone once knew. In his place stood a young man in his late teens, around 5'10", wearing only a pair of blue flannel pants. All traces of childhood fat had vanished, leaving well-defined, whipcord-like muscles. Even his face had lost its softness, replaced by sharp, predatory features. The whisker marks on his cheeks were gone, though his eyes still blazed with that unmistakable electric blue. His hair, once spiky and blonde, now fell to his shoulders in a shimmering silver cascade. He had transformed into someone entirely new. Siraz spoke gently. Sometimes the body can't handle the change all at once. Yours was too young, so it grew older, allowing the transformation to complete. Naruto nodded, though he couldn't stop staring at his own reflection. Eventually, a knock at the door broke his trance. Siraz moved to answer it, revealing two young men in black tuxedos, one blonde, one brown-haired. "Miss Victoria," the blonde said with a bow, "the master requests your presence." He also asked that Naruto be provided with clothing more suitable than what he currently wears. The brown-haired servant bowed to Naruto. "Sir Naruto, if you would follow me, I will lead you to the master's wardrobe. There we can find attire appropriate for the master's presence." Naruto nodded, and the two departed. Siraz watched them disappear down the hallway. The blonde cleared his throat. "Miss Victoria, the master awaits you in the library." "Thank you, Alexei. I'll go see what he wants," she replied, stepping into the shadows. When she emerged again, she was surrounded by shelves filled with thousands of books. The library was immense, with shelves stretching nearly 30 feet high along two walls. A roaring fireplace dominated the third wall, while the fourth featured a massive stained glass window. Near the fire, two wing-backed chairs faced each other across a small table, currently holding only an open wine bottle and two inverted glasses. "You wish to see me, master?" Siraz asked. "Yes, come, sit with me. We have much to discuss," replied Alucard, his voice deep and rich. Siraz took her seat, facing her master. Before her sat not just Alucard but the true no-life king, Count Dracula himself, the oldest and most powerful vampire. She understood that under Helsing's control, he could only take this form on command. Now, freed from that restriction, he could assume any shape he pleased. In combat, however, he typically remained as Alucard, since that was the form suited for battle. "What is it you wanted to discuss, master?" she asked softly, though she inwardly admitted she feared the Count more than Alucard. Alucard could be wild and bloodthirsty, but he was at least somewhat predictable. Dracula was a different matter. He could smile warmly one moment, then slaughter millions the next without changing expression. "Siraz, I have told you many times I am no longer your master," he said, smiling gently. "You may call me Vladimir, Dracula, even Alucard if you prefer, but not master. It doesn't suit you." Siraz shook her head. He sighed in mild irritation. "If you insist, then simply say, my lord." "Yes, my lord," she replied. "Now that is settled, let us turn to business. I have considered Naruto and the potential challenges or opportunities he presents. I have reached a decision I believe is best for all of us. He will be heir to my throne and all its power." "My lord, you can't be serious," Siraz exclaimed. "The clans would be furious, they might even try to kill him out of spite." "They may attempt," Dracula replied coldly, "but if anyone so much as touches him, they will see why I am king. Upon declaring him my heir, he becomes my adopted son. I do not tolerate threats to what I hold dear." "But why him, my lord?" she asked, unease in her voice. "Why not?" he replied with a hint of amusement. "You and he are the only remaining first-generation vampires. Most clan leaders are third-generation or lower. His powers surpass nearly all others. More importantly, he has spirit. That boy will pursue a goal until it is his, or until death stops him. No one can break his will. Do you understand?" I suppose so," she said, gazing into the fire. "As intriguing as our discussion of Naruto is, that is not the main reason I called you," Dracula said, his eyes fixed on empty space. Siraz leaned forward, curious. "Then what did you want to discuss?" "You," he said simply. "Me, why would you want to talk about me?" she asked in surprise. "You have served me loyally for many years without proper recognition." "That was my mistake," he said, sighing. "You deserve more than a warrior's life. Will you honor me by becoming my no-life queen?" "You want me to marry you?" Siraz asked, a hint of fear in her voice. "No, marriage is unnecessary. You would be my second-in-command, not a wife. And technically, this would make you Naruto's adoptive mother." I can handle being a queen," she said, smiling lightly. "It is every little girl's dream. And I have always wanted to be a mother." "Excellent," he said. "I've already scheduled a clan council in 2 months. You should acquire more formal attire before then." She shook her head. "Only you could be excited to see that group of power-hungry fools." He grinned. "I am not excited for the meeting itself. I look forward to seeing their expressions when I introduce you and Naruto." They shared a small laugh, cut short by a knock at the door. "Master, Sir Naruto has arrived. Shall I send him in?" came a muffled voice. "Send him in." Naruto stepped into the room cautiously, about to meet the man who had essentially saved his life. Alucard smiled inwardly as he observed Naruto. "Now he looks like a true lord of the night," he thought, noting Naruto's new attire. Naruto wore a short black double-breasted jacket, partially open at the chest to reveal red lining, secured by large silver buttons. His loose black pants featured an inch-wide red stripe bordered with silver trim running down the sides. Overall, he wore a long black hooded cloak with red lining, silver buttons, red cuffs, and a chin-high collar. Red stripes on the sleeves mirrored those on his pants, forming a stylized W at the hem. His silver hair was braided into a short ponytail at the nape of his neck, with bangs framing his angular face. "You look good, Naruto," Siraz said with a smile. "Much better than those rags we found you in." Naruto blushed. "Thank you, Miss Victoria. I don't think anyone's ever said that to me before. Walk around any city in that, and you'll get endless compliments," she teased. She was about to add more, but a subtle frown from the Count silenced her. "I'm sure you have many questions, Naruto. Ask freely," Dracula said. Naruto hesitated. "I want to thank you, but I can't do that if I don't know your name. Who are you?" Siraz hit a facepalm. He had to ask that. "I'll keep it brief. My true name is Vladimir Teeps. I was born 7683 years ago in Wallachia. Near my 32nd birthday, I was to be executed. In fear of death, I made a pact with the devil and became the first vampire. I changed my name to Count Dracula. Nearly 2 centuries later, I was defeated by humans who forced me to serve their family, hunting monsters I had created. Eventually, that family died, and I gained my freedom. Since then, I've spent my time building a kingdom for vampires here in the underworld. I didn't catch all of that, but I think I get the gist. So since I'm a vampire now, does that mean I can do all the cool stuff from the movies? Like turning into bats, controlling minds, flying around?" Naruto asked, practically bouncing with excitement. "Eventually, yes," the Count replied, his tone measured. "But not yet. Right now you're only a fledgling, a human with vampire traits. You're faster, stronger, and tougher than most humans, but that's it. Your full potential won't awaken until you've made your choice." "Wait, haven't I already made that choice? I mean, I chose to keep living, didn't I?" Naruto said, frowning slightly. The Count stroked his chin thoughtfully. "You chose to abandon your humanity and become a vampire, but there's still a sliver of your human soul that clings to your old self. Every vampire has limits depending on what they refuse to accept. Take Siraz, for example. She wouldn't drink human blood. Physically, she was almost at full power, but beyond that, her abilities were restricted. We'll have to experiment to see what you can truly do." Naruto's shoulders slumped briefly, but his enthusiasm returned as he asked, "So, since I'm stronger now, does that mean my jutsu will be stronger too?" The Count's expression softened into one of pity. "No, as a vampire, you won't be able to use ninjutsu." "What?" Naruto exclaimed, horrified. "Ninjutsu requires chakra, which is a fusion of physical and mental energy," the Count explained, a hint of sadness in his voice. "Our bodies are technically dead, so we lack the physical energy needed to generate chakra." Naruto's face fell, his hands clenching in frustration. A single drop of blood slid from the corner of his eye. If he couldn't use ninjutsu, then he couldn't be a ninja. "You might not be able to use ninjutsu," the Count said calmly, "but there is still a way for you to become a ninja." "How?" Naruto's voice was tight with anticipation. "We may be unable to perform ninjutsu, but I can teach you the many demonic spells I've learned over centuries," the Count said, his tone steady. Naruto's eyes lit up again. Magic instead of ninjutsu. He could still be a ninja. "Thank you," the Count chuckled, a deep, rumbling sound. "Don't thank me yet, I haven't even started your training. Any more questions?" Naruto shook his head after a moment. "Then may I ask you something?" Dracula said, his voice grave. Naruto swallowed nervously, wary of the serious tone, yet curiosity got the better of him. He nodded. The ancient vampire's crimson gaze fixed on him. "What if I told you that Siraz and I want to adopt you and make you the prince of all vampires?" Naruto blinked, stunned. "What?" Alucard raised an eyebrow, unsure if he'd been heard correctly. I asked if you wished to be adopted and, Naruto quickly held up his hands. No, I heard you. I'm just making sure you're serious and not joking. The Count's eyes darkened, a low growl emanating from him. He did not appreciate being questioned. Sirez intervened softly. We are serious, Naruto. We've seen the life you endured. No child should suffer like you did, without parents, without love, without protection. We just want to give you what you missed. Naruto crossed his arms. How do you know all that about me? Anything I consume becomes part of my knowledge, the Count replied calmly. Sirez rolled her eyes. Fine, here's the truth. When I was human, my childhood wasn't much different from yours. I was alone. I dreamed of a family I could love, the kind of childhood I never had. When I became a vampire, I feared that dream was gone. But now, with you, it can come true. Naruto remained uncertain. Sirez glanced at her master. He wants you as his adopted son because you remind him of his human self. That may sound dramatic, but it's true. Some of his happiest memories were with his human family. I'm right here, the Count grumbled. I don't need you speaking for me, Sirez. She ignored him, locking eyes with Naruto. See, he didn't deny it. So Naruto, will you give two heartless old vampires a family? Naruto's gaze flicked between them. After a pause, he exhaled deeply, a small smile forming. Well, if we became a family, I'm pretty sure we'd win Most Dysfunctional Family of the Year, without question, Mother, he added with a grin. Sirez leaped from her seat, wrapping him in a hug so fast that her chair flew 20 feet. They clung to each other a moment before Sirez pulled back and kissed his cheek lightly. Both sniffled, on the verge of tears. Oh, don't start crying in front of me, the Count said, a mixture of irritation and amusement in his tone. What kind of king would I be if my family bawled after a hug? Naruto dabbed at his eyes, then asked. Father, you keep saying you're a king. King of what, exactly? The no-life king rose, his presence commanding. I am the first vampire, the oldest and most powerful of my kind. I am the no-life king, ruler of all vampires and master of much of the underworld. Naruto whistled. He had guessed it was something like that, but not quite this extreme. The Count's crimson eyes bored into him. As my son, you are my heir. One day the throne will be yours. You are now the no-life prince, Naruto Teeps. Teeps, not bad. Shows I'm not that helpless kid anymore, Naruto said, a small smirk tugging at his lips. The king's thoughts shifted. Sirez, we must leave for a while. What? But we just became a family, Sirez protested. Exactly. That's why we must leave, the Count replied. In 2 months, the 13 vampire clans will gather. You need to be ready, strong, knowledgeable, and able to survive the week. Your training begins immediately, Sirez huffed. I get it, I just don't like it. The Count bowed slightly. Until we meet again, my lady. Sirez returned the bow quietly. Until then, my lord. The Count strode from the room. Come, Naruto, we have much to accomplish. Naruto glanced at Sirez, who nodded, and he practically flew after his father. Father, where are we going? Why so soon? We're visiting an old friend for a proper weapon, the Count said over his shoulder. Afterward, we'll retreat to the wilderness for 2 months. Naruto's eyes widened. I just got here. Why do we have to leave already? For training, the Count said, turning slightly. Or rather, for me to train you. Training already. You're worse than Uruka-sensei, Naruto complained. Refuse and you may wait for your impending death instead, the Count said flatly. Naruto shivered. Wait, what? Someone wants me dead. In 2 months, the 13 clan leaders convene. I will present you as my heir. They may not like it and will try to challenge you. You must be prepared to crush any opposition, the Count explained. I take it you don't exactly get along with them, Naruto said with a teasing grin. The Count growled. They are greedy, manipulative, and constantly seek to undermine me. Without me keeping them in check, the clans would be at war endlessly, risking everything. So why keep them around? Naruto asked. Because without them, the chaos would destroy our entire kind, the Count sighed, shoulders heavy with the weight of centuries. A faint, slightly unhinged grin spread across Naruto's face. If no one else can handle them, then I will. Anyone who dares threaten you, threatens me too, he said, slamming his fist into his open palm. A matching, unsettling smile appeared on his father's lips. I look forward to seeing you prove it, my son. Time skip. 2 months later from this point forward, I will refer to Alucard as Vladimir, his true identity when acting as king. Exactly 2 months later, father and son faced one another in a modest anteroom just outside the throne room. Vladimir's gaze lingered on Naruto, a subtle smile curling at the corners of his lips. You've surpassed everything I expected, Naruto. Now it's time to show the world your strength. Let no one stand in your way. Make your enemies tremble and your allies follow willingly. You are the heir to my throne, prove it to everyone. Naruto bowed lightly in response. Thank you for trusting me, father. I will give everything I have to live up to your expectations. I have no doubt you will, my boy, Vladimir said, placing a hand firmly on Naruto's shoulder. Now, wait in the foyer until I summon you. Your mother is already waiting there, I believe. I understand, father, thank you. Naruto bowed again, this time slightly deeper, then turned and strode down the hallway toward the throne room's foyer. As he moved through the halls, a thrill of anticipation ran through him. He could hardly wait to demonstrate that he was worthy of the life and title he had been granted. He felt unstoppable, certain that no one could match him. After leaving the city, his father had put him through a rigorous set of exercises to determine which aspects of his vampiric powers he could control. The results left Vladimir stunned. Most fledglings only had enhanced physical abilities, speed, strength, durability, but Naruto was different. He didn't possess extraordinary strength or toughness, nor did he have the heightened senses typical of vampires. Yet even with those limits, Vladimir declared him the most formidable fledgling he had ever seen, and for 3 reasons: his speed, his shadow, and his magic. Most fledglings were fast by human standards, capable of brief bursts of about 20 miles per hour, comparable to a mid-range chunin. For Naruto, that pace was an easy jog he could sustain indefinitely. At full sprint, he could approach 40 miles per hour, matching or exceeding the speed of most jonin. Even his normal pace, around 35 miles per hour, could be maintained for 6 hours straight. Then there was his shadow. All vampires of 3rd generation or lower theoretically could manipulate their shadows as weapons, but few ever did, focusing instead on their clan-specific skills. Only the Lysander clan, besides his parents, seriously pursued mastering shadows. To wield one, a fledgling needed to have consumed at least 1 soul, which powered the shadow. Naruto already carried 2 souls, allowing him to summon a shadow familiar, 9 dark orbs orbiting him, which he could use offensively or defensively. Anything the familiar couldn't manage, his magic could. Though his speed and shadow control were impressive, it was his magic that truly amazed his father. Few vampires could wield it effectively, perhaps only 1 in 10, and only a few hundred could be considered masters. That Naruto could cast spells at all was remarkable, but what truly astonished Vladimir was the ease with which he did so. Incantations that would take even skilled demon warlocks weeks to master, Naruto could learn in a day or 2. He could not only cast spells, but chain them together, or even cast 2 simultaneously to increase their potency. After just 3 weeks of training, Naruto could duel his father with magic to a stalemate. Together, his speed, shadow, and magic made him a terrifying opponent. With his weapon in hand, however, he became lethal. Reaching behind him, Naruto lightly touched the weapon slung across his lower back, recalling the first time he had seen it. Flashback: after leaving Bloodborne Hall, Vladimir had led him through the heart of the city, then down twisting alleys and side streets. "Where are we going? I thought we were leaving the city to train," Naruto asked, frustration creeping into his voice. "We are training," his father said, voice tinged with irritation. "But remember, I said we would also obtain a weapon for you." "Then why didn't we just stop at one of the shops on the main street?" Naruto shot back. "We are visiting an old friend," Vladimir explained. "He built my vulture and maintains both it and Jackal. He specializes in unique, custom weapons. He'll have something suitable for you." Naruto's eyes lit up. "A sword. Like the ANBU use." Vladimir raised an eyebrow. "Why would you need a sword? As a vampire, you could tear someone apart with your bare hands, or punch a hole right through them. What use would a simple blade serve?" Naruto's face turned slightly pink. "So, what kind of weapon will it be then?" "I have no idea," his father admitted. "That's the fun part, you never know what he might be crafting this week." They arrived at a nondescript wooden door marked "Weapons" in rough white paint. Vladimir knocked, and a young man with slicked-back black hair, a black vest, and a white shirt opened it, a lit cigarette in his mouth. "My lord, come in," the man said. Vladimir strode in, Naruto close behind. The room resembled a mix between a workshop and a cluttered armory, with weapons of all kinds scattered across tables and racks. Near Naruto, a few peculiar items caught his eye. Thick yellow metal bracelets, a thin white sword with a cylinder at the hilt, and a large red metal rectangle. Curious, he stepped closer, but the man returned carrying 2 suitcases, placing them on a table. 10 fully loaded clips per weapon, as always, he said, flicking ash from his cigarette. So what brings you here? Maintenance, modifications, or just stretching your legs? I need a proper weapon for my newest fledgling. Your family makes unique, exceptional weapons, Vladimir said, nodding toward Naruto. This is him. What do you have that might work? The man smirked. Let me guess, you don't want another Harkonnen. One is enough. A ranged weapon would be more practical. You ruin my fun, the man chuckled. So, looking for something mighty, huh, kid? Naruto frowned. My name isn't Kid, it's Naruto Teeps. Remember it, the man laughed, exhaling a thick plume of smoke. Very well, Naruto Teeps. I'm Walter C. Dornes VIII, Master Assassin and Weapon Designer. Call me Chris, though. Now tell me exactly what you need. Chris raised his hands in mock surrender. Okay, no offense meant. Just answer the question. I can't help if you leave me in the dark. Naruto furrowed his brow, lost in thought. I'm not entirely sure what I'm looking for. I just know I want something powerful, something that can handle almost any situation. Chris rubbed his chin, deep in thought. A single weapon that's versatile enough for any kind of fight, tricky, but not impossible. He muttered to himself, glancing at the ceiling while keeping his eyes locked on Naruto. Assuming Chris wasn't paying him attention, Naruto slowly edged toward the large red object he had noticed earlier, making his father chuckle quietly. Every weapon in Chris's shop was forged from demon steel, a rare metal born from underworld iron and shaped in hellfire. Each weapon carried a faint, almost hypnotic aura of demonic energy. Anyone entering the shop without a weapon would inevitably be drawn to one in particular, as if the weapon itself had chosen them. Most often, the weapon they were pulled toward turned out to be almost perfect for their abilities. Oh ho ho, interesting choice, kid, Chris thought, observing Naruto closely. That's going to be his weapon. I'm not sure a kid like him can handle it, but this is going to be fun to watch. Oblivious to the attention, Naruto approached the weapon, studying it carefully. At first glance, it didn't appear to be one solid piece of metal. Rather, it was a cluster of interlocking parts, with a single thin black rod jutting from the side. Curious, Naruto reached to pull a lever, but a firm hand stopped him. Chris leaned casually against the counter, a faint smile playing on his lips. So, found one you like, huh? He said, exhaling smoke. Well, not exactly, Naruto admitted, confusion coloring his face. But you were drawn to it, weren't you? Chris continued, his smile widening. Naruto nodded. Here's the thing. In this shop, you don't just pick a weapon, it picks you just as much as you pick it. Chris inhaled from his cigarette, then stepped away from the counter and toward the center of the room. Turning to face Naruto, he grinned. Time to meet your new partner. With a flick of the lever, the weapon transformed. Naruto watched, wide-eyed, as the metal began to unfold. In moments, Chris held a massive 6-foot war scythe. Its black shaft gleamed, intersected by a red rectangular segment midway. The bottom ended in a sharp spear point, while the other side sported a sweeping scythe with a heavy counterweight. Chris's smile widened. Behold one of my deadliest creations, the Mark IV HCSS. Its main function is long-range precision, powered by a .75 caliber sniper system using explosive armor-piercing demon steel rounds. The blade, adamantine-edged, nothing stands in its way. Naruto could only whisper, awestruck. It's beautiful. Chris chuckled and folded the weapon back down into a more manageable form. And she has a name, kid. What is it? Naruto Teeps, meet Crimson Moon. Treat her right, and she'll have your back. Chris handed the scythe to Naruto, who took it gingerly in his arms. Back in the present, Naruto absent-mindedly rubbed Crimson Moon against his back while pushing open the door to the foyer. True to his father's words, his mother waited inside. As soon as the door closed, she ran forward, hugging him tightly. Naruto, you're back. Now we can finally be a proper family, she said, pulling back to study him. You look different. Mom, I haven't really changed, well, except for swapping my shoes for combat boots, Naruto replied, rubbing the back of his neck. But it looks like you've changed a lot. Instead of her usual military-style jacket and miniskirt, Sirez wore a long, elegant black cheongsam adorned with silver flames at the hem. A red Chinese dragon spiraled up the fabric, its head resting near her collarbones. Her wild blonde hair was styled into an intricate bun, held with jeweled pins. Crossing her arms, Sirez huffed. I was told to dress more formally. This was all I could find. Naruto laughed. Don't take this the wrong way, but your usual clothes make you look like a normal teenager. Problem with that? She asked, raising an eyebrow. They're far more comfortable than this. I agree about comfort, but you're hardly a teenager, Naruto teased. What's that supposed to mean? Are you calling me old? Sirez scowled. Naruto raised his hands defensively. Oh no, that came out all wrong. A deep, gravelly laugh echoed in his mind. Kurama, stop laughing and help me, Naruto thought. Nope, the voice replied, massive and amused. This is better than any TV show. You're like a soap opera without the cheesy music. A vision of the towering nine-tailed fox appeared in Naruto's mind. Over the past 2 months, Naruto and Kurama had grown surprisingly comfortable. Kurama respected Naruto's resolve and mental strength. They weren't exactly friends, but they had learned to tolerate each other, with playful jabs replacing outright attacks. Come on, you big furball. Help me here, Naruto thought desperately. She's about to smash me. Relax, kid, she won't kill you, the fox rumbled. She'll beat you up, let you heal, and then do it again. If she were like Nibai, maybe. Naruto groaned. I'd almost prefer death, less painful. Kurama chuckled. Hey, don't blame me. You joked about her age first. Besides, technically, you're already dead makes her job tricky. Good for nothing, furball, Naruto muttered. Fortunately, the whole exchange was mental. Only seconds had passed. Sirez was still fuming just a few feet away. A loud gong sounded, echoing through the building. The council meeting had begun. Sirez turned toward a magical mirror showing the throne room. Saved by the gong, Naruto breathed. Wasn't that a TV show? Kurama asked. Never mind. Naruto peered into the mirror beside his mother. Inside the throne room, Vladimir surveyed the assembled vampires. 13 clan leaders stood with hundreds of attendants. The power in the room was staggering, intimidating even for some demon lords. But to Vladimir, it was merely the bureaucracy of his kingdom. Representatives, lords, ladies, welcome to Bloodborne Hall and the city of Shadowfang, Vladimir announced, bowing slightly. Before we begin, a reminder. This city belongs to my kingdom. No interclan battles will be tolerated. Any violation will result in immediate execution. There will be no fighting here. A few murmurs rippled through the crowd, but no one dared challenge him. Now, before the council's business begins, a few announcements. Many of you have pressed me to take a wife over the decades. You've suggested older females from your clans as candidates. Honestly, I don't care why. But you were right. It's time I find a partner to rule alongside me. I've spent the past few days selecting women capable of sharing this responsibility. Sirez paused in the foyer, taking a deep breath to steady herself. Inside the throne room, the king's lips curved into a faint, amused smile as he observed the crowd. Several women fussed over their attire or adjusted their hair, each hoping to be the one chosen as queen. Fools, he thought, amusement lacing his inner voice. I never said I would pick from those paraded before me. I said I would choose from those worthy. If any of you spend as much time paying attention to the world as you do to yourselves, perhaps you might earn a fraction of the power you crave. Until then, pathetic. My queen awaits, he finally announced, his words rippling through the room. The women stirred, ready to hear their names. I present the no-life queen Sirez Victoria, a hidden gong echoed, and the massive doors of the throne room swung open without a sound. Sirez entered with the inevitability of a storm, unstoppable and commanding. Every step exuded dignity and authority. The playful warmth of her usual self melted away, replaced by a composed, queenly mask concealing the raging fires of fury and determination beneath. She bowed as she reached him, only to be stopped by a finger gently lifting her chin. His eyes locked with hers, and then, astonishingly, he took her hand in his other, lifting it to press a soft kiss to her palm. You need bow to no one, my queen, he whispered, just loud enough for the room to hear. Keeping her hand in his, he led her to his left. As he glanced across the crowd, he caught glimpses of scowling faces. A faint smirk tugged at his lips. Who will challenge her first? My lord, I cannot allow this. A woman with golden eyes, raven hair, and sun-kissed skin shouted. Vladimir rolled his eyes internally. Of course it would be her. His voice cut through the room, calm but commanding. The throne recognizes Arya Kal, Lady of the Gangrel. She cannot be your queen. She is of your blood. She was your fledgling. Laws are clear. A ruler may only choose a partner from another clan. She cannot hold this position, Arya barked. A low growl escaped Sira's as the words reached her ears. Vladimir raised a hand, signaling her silence. From the shadows of the crowd, a hooded figure stepped forward, bowing low. Lady Arya's argument has merit, my king, the figure rasped. The throne recognizes Ramon Lathel, Lord of the Nosferatu, Vladimir said, voice cool and precise. Ramon inclined his head. While Lady Victoria would indeed make a remarkable queen, I must agree with Lady Arya. The law states that if a clan leader chooses a companion, it must be someone from another clan. You yourself penned this law centuries ago to encourage unity. Vladimir nodded thoughtfully. True, I wrote that law to promote peace. But I am no clan member, I am king. Choosing from one clan alone could be seen as favoritism. That would be unfit for a sovereign. Ramon inclined again, understanding. It remains intolerable, a king taking his own fledgling as queen, Arya seethed. Silence, hypocrite. Another woman's voice rang out, sharp and cold. The throne recognizes Katharina Riekin, Lady of the Lysamber, Vladimir announced. Katharina bowed elegantly before facing Arya. Many rulers here turn humans solely to claim them as companions. You, Lady Arya, are no exception. The tension crackled as the two women glared at one another until a man's voice cut through the standoff. My brother and I stand with Lady Riekin, both supporting our king and calling out Lady Kal's hypocrisy. A young man stepped forward, his white tuxedo crisp, blonde hair tousled, eyes electric blue. Behind him, his brother in matching attire, dark-haired and emerald-eyed, mirrored his stance. The throne recognizes Mikhail and Vladimir Kal, lords of the clanless. Both bowed before the blue-eyed brother continued. Lords and ladies, enough quarrel. Our king has found a fitting queen after centuries. Let us celebrate this, not debate legality. No one has offered a valid reason to oppose Lady Victoria. Let us move to more pressing matters. Thank you, Lord Mikhail, the king said, exhaling in relief. Patience on this matter is spent. The discussion is closed. Murmurs continued softly, but no one spoke out. I have one more declaration, Vladimir continued. 8 millennia I have walked these worlds, and long have I worn the crown. Though I do not age, the weight of the throne grows heavy. Thus I shall share it with my queen. He paused, voice strengthening. Yet sharing is not enough. One day I will tire entirely, and for that reason I have chosen an heir. My successor, my eventual replacement. Whispers spread across the room, some with awe, some with confusion, others brimming with pride, each assuming themselves the chosen one. Without further delay, I present my son and heir, Naruto Teeps, the no-life prince. Silence blanketed Bloodborne Hall as Naruto strode to stand beside his father. Shock, confusion, and even lust flashed across the faces of the gathered vampires. The silence shattered as voices erupted. My king, madness, an ex-fledgling as queen and this boy as heir. He is no more fit to rule than a human, another voice agreed. He is not one of us, he has no right. A third shouted, the king has lost his mind. Naruto's temper flared. Insults toward himself were tolerable, but daring to mock his father, the king, was unforgivable. He bristled, ready to act. A hand on his shoulder stopped him. His father's firm grip and subtle shake reminded him of restraint. Naruto bowed his head, slightly embarrassed. He hadn't lost control fully, but nearly had. Vladimir's faint smile betrayed pride in his son's protective instincts. Doubt his worth? Step forward and voice it, Vladimir commanded, voice leaving no room for argument. 3 figures separated from the crowd, clad in long black robes. Only one, Lady Arya, revealed her face. Vladimir's expression remained calm. Lady Arya had been a thorn since her rise to power, ambitious and ruthless, yet her influence could not yet be crushed. Lady Kal, he asked, what reason do you and your allies have to question this boy's merit? A tight-lipped, calculating smile crept across her face. We object not, my king. We only wish for his capabilities to be proven before the council. And how do you propose he do that? The king's gaze sharpened. Through combat, she said smoothly, her smile turning sharp and cold. I propose a duel, your son against a champion of our choosing. Should he win, he remains your heir. Should he lose, he must renounce all claims, and the council will select another to take his place. Vladimir opened his mouth to protest. There was no way he would allow such a thing, at least not under her terms. But before he could speak, another voice cut through the tension. I accept, Naruto said firmly, his tone leaving no room for argument. Bring forth your champion. I'll show everyone my worth here and now. The three clan heads inclined their heads slightly before huddling together in quiet conversation. Siraz looked at her son with worry in her eyes. Naruto, are you certain about this? You don't have to, Naruto met her gaze and offered a calm, confident smile. I'm sure, Mom. I could take on any two of these guys and still win. Don't worry about me, I'll be fine. Vladimir remained silent, though a shadow of concern crossed his face. He's not wrong, he thought. Few here could actually beat him, but they might just summon someone who can. After a few moments, the clan leaders stepped back and faced the throne once more. Lady Call moved forward, her grin predatory. Our champion has been chosen. We summon the Black Dragon of the Lysamber. A murmur of shock rippled through the audience, and even the king raised an eyebrow at the announcement. From the crowd, a young man stepped forward, approaching the leaders. He wore flowing black samurai robes that hung loosely around his slight frame. Metal splints adorned his wrists and shins, and a katana in a black steel sheath hung from a silver sash at his side. His light red hair was tied in a loose ponytail, and a striking X-shaped scar marked his left cheek. But his amethyst eyes gleamed with fierce determination. The man bowed with practiced precision. I am Kenshin Himura, 5th-generation free blood of the Lysamber clan. On behalf of the council, I now challenge Naruto Teeps to a duel. Naruto returned the bow, his voice calm but commanding. I, Naruto Teeps, 1st-generation fledgling, accept your challenge. Vladimir shook his head in quiet resignation. This was exactly the sort of opponent he feared, but the duel had been set. I ask all spectators to move to the balconies to clear the floor for combat. The audience shifted, and the main hall cleared, leaving the duelists facing one another. Prepare yourselves, the king commanded. First blood decides the winner. Kenshin dropped into a Bataojutsu stance. Naruto, by contrast, stood relaxed, exuding effortless confidence. Both nodded to the king, signaling readiness. Begin, Kenshin launched forward with astonishing speed, drawing his sword mid-leap. He hoped to catch Naruto off guard and end the duel quickly. Naruto's instincts kicked in. He sidestepped the initial strike and ducked under the spinning blade, narrowly avoiding a deadly stab to his chest. Then he leapt back again as Kenshin slashed down with precision. Landing several feet away, Naruto straightened and met his opponent's gaze. You're faster than you look, he said respectfully. Kenshin's expression remained serious. I'll take that as a compliment. But few can dodge my attacks like that. How long can you keep it up? The red-haired swordsman lunged again, this time with his blade flying from its sheath at incredible speed. Naruto narrowly avoided the strike, sensing another attack coming from Kenshin's offhand. Heighten Mitsurugi, Saryusen, Kenshin shouted. The sheath whistled toward Naruto's head, forcing him to react. In a blur, he drew Crimson Moon, unfolding it to its full form, and blocked the strike with the scythe's haft. Using the momentum, he swung the counterweight toward Kenshin, but the swordsman anticipated the move, leaping backward effortlessly. Isn't that weapon a bit large for you? Kenshin asked, curious. Naruto smirked. It would be if I were human. But since I'm not, I see no reason to limit myself. Fair enough, Kenshin conceded. Still, a weapon that size will slow you. If you can't land a strike, you won't win. Naruto's grin widened. Then I guess I'll just have to prove you wrong. He didn't attack immediately, but spun his scythe until the blade and haft were parallel to the ground, the spear tip aimed squarely at Kenshin's heart. His hand flicked a lever on the haft with a faint click, like a gun being cocked. I hope you can dodge as fast as you attack, Naruto said, eyes narrowing. I'd rather not hurt you if I don't have to. The scythe shot forward like a bolt of black lightning, and Kenshin barely leapt aside in time. Naruto ricocheted off a pillar midair, rolling to a stop a few feet from his opponent. Kenshin immediately charged, hoping for a decisive strike, but the scythe intercepted his sword with a resounding crack, forcing him back. Naruto unleashed a flurry of attacks, slashes, stabs, swings, but Kenshin met each one with perfect defense or flawless evasion. They battled relentlessly, neither gaining the upper hand, until they finally separated briefly, catching their breath. Internally, Naruto laughed. This guy's insane, not as strong as Dad, but still, he's one hell of a swordsman. I can't even land a single hit. Stop daydreaming and do something, Kurama growled in his mind. I know, Fluffy, Naruto replied, baring his fangs. I can't hit him, he blocks everything. How am I supposed to draw blood? You don't have to hit him directly, Kurama hissed. What do you mean I don't have to hit him? Of course I have to, Naruto shot back, frustrated. He keeps dodging everything. Then stop relying on that weapon, the fox growled. And do what instead? Punch him. You want me to lose? Deep in the mindscape, Kurama slammed his massive head against an invisible wall in exasperation. You're a vampire, you idiot. Use your magic. Shadows, something. I refuse to work with someone who'd lose to a swordsman 4 generations his junior. Geez, you don't have to shout like that, you oversized furball, Naruto yelled back. Believe me, I know I could use something other than my weapon, but it just wouldn't feel fair. Kurama opened his mouth to retort, but before he could, their opponent surged forward again. Naruto barely managed to block Kenshin's blade at the last second. Surprisingly, Kenshin didn't push past his guard. Instead, he pivoted gracefully to the side, withdrawing his sword. Heighten Mitsurugi, Ryukansen! Naruto's eyes widened as realization struck. Kenshin had intentionally hit his guard to distract him, then spun to build momentum for a strike aimed at his exposed back. Using Crimson Moon as a springboard, Naruto vaulted away, but saw Kenshin already moving in for another attack. Heighten Mitsurugi, Ryusozen! A blur of lightning-fast strikes came at him. Naruto used his scythe like a quarterstaff, blocking blow after blow. Even so, the sheer speed and intensity left him rattled. Sensing Naruto's momentary imbalance, Kenshin lunged again, stopping only a foot away. Heighten Mitsurugi, Rishozen! Like a human projectile, Kenshin launched into the air, sword aimed at the sky. Naruto instinctively leaned back just enough to avoid the edge slicing through his throat. But there was no time to breathe easy. Heighten Mitsurugi, Ryutsuisen! Kenshin descended like a meteor, pouring every ounce of strength into a single crushing strike. Naruto knew jumping away wasn't an option, so he fired Crimson Moon twice and let the recoil send him across the room. Even then, Kenshin's blade scraped the sole of his shoe. Both landed, momentarily pausing to study each other, anticipating the next move. Hey, fuzzball, you awake in there? Naruto called mentally. Of course I'm awake, you idiot. You're shaking this place like an earthquake, Kurama shot back. Sorry for disturbing your nap. Listen, I need you to shield me during the next attack, then counterstrike. Get ready for a level 3 release. Oh yeah, this'll go just great, Kurama muttered sarcastically. It will work. No one would expect a fledgling like me to even have a familiar, Naruto snapped. Kurama's tone softened. True, most fledglings can't, but you're a first-gen, normal rules don't apply. One thing though, your opponent's a Lysamber. Shadow attacks won't affect him. What? Why not? Do you even remember what your father taught you about the clans? Kurama groaned. Nope, Kurama groaned again. Lysambers specialize in shadow manipulation. If I engage, he'll do the same. He's far more practiced in combat than I am. We just stalemate. So what now? My weapon's useless and using you wouldn't help. You have magic, you idiot. Use it, Kurama barked. Naruto's thoughts snapped back when Kenshin spoke. You are a remarkable fighter. Rarely has anyone made me exert so much, Kenshin said with a faint smile. I believe you are a worthy heir to our king's throne, but this duel won't end until one of us bleeds. Here's my offer. Survive the next strike and I will not attack again. How do I know you're not lying? Naruto asked warily. I swear upon my sword, this strike will be the last. Kurama whispered, take it. This is a true samurai, you can trust his word. Breaking it would dishonor him utterly. His sword, Naruto raised an eyebrow. To a samurai, it is his life. He carries it from birth, often until death, sometimes even buried with it. Breaking an oath sworn on it, he would have to shatter the sword and commit harakiri. It's the ultimate dishonor. Guess he really means it, Naruto muttered. I'll accept your deal, Kenshin, Naruto said, squaring his stance. For the record, you're one of the greatest fighters I've faced. Kenshin smirked, standing tall. Here it comes. Heighten Mitsurugi, Kyuzuryusen. A golden aura erupted around him, 9 kanji appearing, each representing a basic strike of kenjutsu. He charged at Naruto with terrifying speed. Naruto's heart raced. Dodging or blocking a single strike could leave him vulnerable to the others. There was only one way. Crouching, he braced his scythe behind him, forming hand seals with his other hand before striking the ground. Anapu. Tetsu Sharudo. Demon Art. Shield of Iron, a dull gray dome appeared over Naruto, shielding him. Kenshin's eyes widened. Each strike smashed into the barrier, chiseling away at it but failing to break it. When the final blow landed, the iron wall crumbled and Naruto rose, resolute. That was impressive, Kenshin said, defensive stance ready. Let's see if this next one is as effective. Naruto inhaled sharply, forming another series of seals. He released a massive ball of black flame. Anapu, Goka, Demon Art, Fires of Hell. Kenshin leapt aside, letting the fireball smash into a wall. Landing, he immediately blocked Naruto's scythe with the flat of his blade, the force sending him back. Seeing an opening, Naruto vaulted over him using the scythe, spinning into a devastating strike. Kenshin barely avoided the blade, pivoting to defend himself. Naruto landed, forming another set of hand seals. Punching the ground, he summoned a row of iron spikes shooting toward Kenshin. Anapu, Tajutetsu Kiba. Many iron fangs, the spikes surged forward, and Kenshin leapt to avoid them. Naruto smirked. His father had taught him not just combat but strategy, to predict his opponent and strike at the perfect moment. He now prepared to finish the duel. He moved his hands with lightning speed, forming seals faster than he ever had before. Where once he had needed only 5 or 6 signs, now he flew through 26 in rapid succession. As Kenshin reached the peak of his leap, Naruto's hand froze mid-motion. Anapu, Gufu no Ken. Storm of Swords. With the incantation complete, Naruto extended his scythe outward and began to spin. A thick, white mist began curling around the blade, growing denser as he twirled. The faster he rotated, the more the mist condensed, until it seemed like a solid, swirling disc. With a sudden stop, he thrust the weapon skyward. The spinning mist followed, shooting into the air with a whistling roar. Kenshin collided with it mid-jump, expecting to pass through harmlessly, thinking it was just a visual trick. He was wrong. The impact felt like smashing into a bramble of blades. As he struggled through the cloud, tiny lacerations formed across his skin. Within moments, his clothing was torn and shredded, and even his vampiric healing couldn't keep up with the damage. When he finally emerged from the bottom of the whirling fog, his body was crisscrossed with hundreds of deep, bleeding cuts. He hit the ground a few feet from Naruto with a pained grunt. Naruto sheathed Crimson Moon and approached calmly, offering a hand to his battered opponent. Kenshin smiled, a mixture of pain and admiration in his eyes. Here was a child with a heart like his own, a vampire, a monster of the night, wielding immense power, yet showing honor and restraint. He took Naruto's hand and let himself be pulled to his feet. Vladimir rose from his throne, drawing every eye in the room. Kenshin Himura bleeds. Naruto Teep stands victorious and retains the title of No-Life Prince. His gaze swept across the clan leaders. The council will reconvene at the 3rd hour tomorrow. Until then, you are dismissed. The crowd rose together, bowing deeply before shuffling toward the exits. Once the last of them departed and the doors were secured, Siraz rushed to embrace her son. "Oh, Naruto, I'm so proud. I knew you could do it. I knew no one could beat you," she exclaimed, hugging him with all her strength, almost crushing his ribs in the process. "Mother I like breathing," Naruto gasped, squirming, realizing Siraz blushed and stepped back. "Sorry, I just got carried away. I knew you'd win, it's just, well, I got nervous when I saw your opponent." Naruto tilted his head. "What do you mean?" Kenshin was strong, sure, but he wasn't unbeatable. Siraz fidgeted. "I know, it's just, he's called the Black Dragon for a reason. People here consider him one of the finest swordsmen." Naruto's eyes widened as he looked at Kenshin. "You're famous," Kenshin nodded slowly. "Infamous might be more accurate, but yes, in some circles." Siraz chuckled, playfully swatting his shoulder. "Stop being modest. I loved reading about your adventures when I was human." This one's stories were hardly tame enough for children, Kenshin replied, his tone deadpan. Siraz swatted him again. Just tell him already. Sighing, Kenshin explained, in truth, I am almost a century and a half older than your mother. As a human, I was known as one of the greatest swordsmen alive, Hidekiri Batasai, feared for my mastery of the heightened Mitsurugi style. Time weakened my skill, and after losing my family, I became a vampire and eventually the greatest vampiric swordsman of all. Naruto's jaw dropped. After blinking several times, he shook his head and smiled. So I just beat one of the greatest swordsmen alive? That's awesome. Kenshin hesitated. I did not fight at full strength, Naruto's excitement faltered. Then I'm not as cool as I thought. Kenshin facepalmed internally. This is the future king of vampires. We're doomed. Vladimir interjected, approaching the group. Kenshin, I have a proposition. Naruto's fighting style is unique, and I cannot guide him in all aspects. Would you serve as both his combat mentor and bodyguard? Kenshin was stunned. Protecting someone so important, and for an extended period, was unprecedented. After a moment, he knelt, offering his sword hilt first. Naruto Teeps, I pledge my sword and service until death or your release. Do you accept? Naruto pushed the sword lightly back to him. Of course, but one thing, don't ever call me Lord. Just call me Naruto. Kenshin resheathed his weapon with a nod. As you wish, Vladimir chuckled. It pleases me to see you two getting along. Kenshin, you may take the room across the hall from Naruto. Defending someone from afar is difficult, after all. Kenshin grabbed Naruto's jacket and dragged him away. Come along, training awaits, and we have little time. Memories of previous training sent a shiver down Naruto's spine. Hours later, Naruto trudged to his coffin, exhausted. Two thoughts dominated his mind. First, Kenshin was relentless, a true slave driver in training. Second, despite his love for his new family, he felt homesick. He missed Konoha, not the place but the people. Shaking the thoughts away, he lowered himself into the coffin, more a bed with walls than a burial chamber, and fell into a deep sleep. Time passed, and Naruto found himself in the Hokage's office, just as he remembered. The Sandaime Hokage grumbled over paperwork, and Naruto hummed softly, waiting for the dream to progress. Finally, a knock at the door broke the silence. Thank Kami, a distraction, the old man muttered before calling out, Come in. A man entered, and the sight of him made Naruto feel both heat and chill running through his veins. Hayashi Hyuga, or as Naruto secretly liked to call him, the head Hyuga asshole. As the leader of the prestigious Hyuga clan, Hayashi carried immense authority, which he wielded with a precision that bordered on unsettling. Naruto knew, despite the rules, that Hayashi often stirred up the villagers against him. On other occasions, he'd quietly order members of the branch family to eliminate Naruto, and when they failed, he'd execute them without hesitation. Yet, the thing that angered Naruto most wasn't the political cruelty or the outright assassination attempts. It was how Hayashi treated his own daughter, Hinata. If Naruto were being honest with himself, he had harbored feelings for Hinata for a long time. Of course, she had no idea. Naruto was terrified of putting her in harm's way simply by being near her. He refused to risk her safety just because of his own feelings. Ah, Hayashi-san, good to see you today. Please have a seat, the Hokage said politely, masking any personal judgment. Naruto knew the elder wasn't exactly Hayashi's fan either. Thank you for seeing me on such short notice, Hokage-sama, Hayashi replied, his tone flat and measured. Not a problem at all. What brings you here? The Hokage asked. It concerns my daughter, Hayashi said formally, with that same air of cold efficiency. Which daughter are we speaking of, Hinata or Hanabi? Hinata, he replied. And what exactly is the matter regarding Hinata? I wish to have her withdrawn from the Ninja Academy, Hayashi said as casually as if he were discussing the weather. What the hell kind of nightmare is this? Naruto thought, panic and anger mixing in his chest. Why would I dream about my crush having her biggest dream taken from her? Wait, hang on. This doesn't feel like a dream. This feels real. May I ask why you've decided this? The Hokage asked, his voice calm but carrying a hint of irritation. After long deliberation, the elders and I have determined that the life of a kunoichi is far too dangerous for a clan heiress. We believe she is neither mentally nor physically prepared to endure such a path, Hayashi explained, his words devoid of emotion. Not strong enough. She's stronger than he could ever understand. She'd be unstoppable if he cared more about her than his stupid pride. Naruto silently fumed. The Hawkage steepled his fingers, considering the matter. That is a valid perspective, Hayashi-san, he said thoughtfully. Wait, what? Come on. You know exactly how he treats her. He'd never admit her real strength, Naruto internally yelled. However, the Hawkage continued, a barely noticeable smirk tugging at his lips, I'm afraid I cannot remove her at this time. With Naruto Uzumaki missing, her class barely has enough students to form 6 full teams. Without her, we'd have to hold some students back, unless a few join later. I simply cannot approve her withdrawal right now. Yes. Take that, Hayashi. Hinata-chan stays. Naruto cheered internally, bouncing around with excitement. Hayashi, ever composed, stood, bowed, and quietly left. I understand. Thank you for your time, Hawkage-sama, he said before slipping out the door. The Hawkage let out a weary sigh, rubbing his temples before glancing toward the balcony door. You can come in now, Hinata. He's gone, he said softly. The door creaked open, and Hinata stepped inside. Her usual white coat hugged her small frame, lavender leggings stretching tight across her legs. Tears streaked her porcelain cheeks. I didn't mean to eavesdrop, Hawkage-sama, she whispered. It's all right, my dear. I understand why you wanted to know, he replied gently. She lowered her gaze. Why does he hate me so much? Am I really that weak? The Hawkage smiled and pulled her close. No, Hinata, you're far from weak. Your father believes strength is only measured by fighting ability, but real strength is so much more. He just hasn't realized it yet. Thank you, Hawkage-sama. I have a question, she said, voice timid, cheeks flushing. Yes, what is it? Have you found out when Naruto-kun will return? Her voice wavered with hope. The Hawkage looked down, regret in his eyes. I'm afraid I don't know, but wherever he is, he would be glad to know you're worried about him. Damn right I am. Naruto thought sharply. She cares about me, she likes me. Will you let me know if you find anything? Hinata asked softly. Of course. You'll be the first to know if I hear anything about him, I promise, he replied, smiling tightly. Hinata bowed politely and left, quietly as she had entered. Once the door closed, the Hawkage leaned back, a tear sliding down his face. Naruto, he whispered to himself, wherever you are, I hope you return soon. Just to see you safe and happy would mean so much. Naruto, witnessing this, made 2 decisions. He would return to Konoha to assure the old man he was fine, and one day he would stay for a while, not for the village, but for the people he cared about. With that resolve, the scene dissolved like morning mist. He awoke abruptly, flinging open his coffin lid. In a flurry of motion, he dressed and dashed through the hallway, guided entirely by instinct. Within a minute, he was at his father's library door. Vladimir opened it, looking as stern as always. Naruto, what brings you here in such a rush? I want to go back to Konoha, Naruto said with determined clarity. Now, you truly wish to return to a place where most would rather see you dead. There are people I never got to say goodbye to, Naruto replied firmly. You mean the 3rd Hawkage? Naruto nodded. Very well. I'll open a portal for you, but it will remain open for only an hour. You must be quick, Vladimir said, preparing the spell. Within seconds, the fireplace transformed into a rectangular vortex of swirling energy. Naruto took a deep breath and stepped through. The bone-chilling cold of the portal was replaced by warm sunlight. He found himself in a small Konoha park, a clearing bathed in light. First-generation vampire perks allowed him to enjoy the sun without burning, though it sapped some of his power. He smiled faintly, savoring the moment. Pulling his hood over his head, Naruto strolled toward the Hawkage Tower, blending into the sunlight. Minutes later, he stood below the office windows, knowing the front doors were out of reach. With a few hand signs, he was perched on the balcony railing like a quiet shadow, peering in at the Hawkage hunched over paperwork, muttering to himself. Thinking himself clever, Naruto silently slid the window open and settled in the opening, ready to see the old man again. A sudden breeze from the open window drew the Hawkage's attention, instantly sharpening his senses. Only 2 people in all of Konoha would dare slip into his office unannounced, and through a window, Jiraiya and Anko. Yet neither seemed likely. Jiraiya would have cracked a joke about his age the moment he entered, and he was known to be somewhere in the land of iron. Anko didn't bother opening windows. She shattered them like a cannonball, and right now she was on a mission in the land of grass. So whoever had entered wasn't from Konoha. "I know you're there," he growled, fingers tightening around one of the many kunai hidden on his person. "I can feel the air from the window moving." "Ah, crap, I should have considered that. My mistake," came a smooth, timeless voice. "If your goal is to kill me, I must say, I'm neither frightened nor impressed. Several academy kids could sneak better than you," the Hawkage replied bluntly, calm as always. There was a faint hint of amusement, and perhaps a touch of wounded pride, in the intruder's voice. "Why on earth would you think I came here to kill you? The fact that you snuck into my office makes me cautious about your intentions," the old man answered. "Fair enough. Honestly, I didn't come to kill you. Then perhaps you should step in front of my desk so we can speak properly," the Hawkage suggested, polite yet firm. In an instant, the unknown figure appeared before him. The Hawkage's eyes widened slightly. The person seemed young, no more than 20. He wore elaborate black clothing with red and silver accents, almost ceremonial in style. His face was shadowed beneath a deep hood. "For a shinobi, you have quite the wardrobe," the Hawkage remarked with a soft chuckle. "I'll take that as a compliment, Lord Hawkage, though I'm not really a shinobi," the intruder replied, irritation faintly lacing his tone. "You say that as if I should recognize you, yet you conceal your face under a hood," the old man countered. "Ah, right, I forgot," the intruder said, pulling back the hood to reveal a striking, angular face, long silver hair, and vivid sapphire eyes. "Better, much better," the Hawkage said, "though I must admit your face is unfamiliar." The young man's shoulders sagged, disappointment shadowing his expression. "You really don't recognize me." "At all, I'm afraid not." A deep sadness settled over the youth's face. "I suppose I've changed, but I hoped you'd recognize my eyes, old man." The Hawkage leaned closer, studying the eyes. At first glance, they were simply bright blue. But there was something deeper, a restless energy, a torrent of emotions, and buried within, an unbearable loneliness and pain that could never be forgotten. A memory stirred. A small blonde boy, a mischievous troublemaker, looking up at him with that same mix of pain and undimmed spirit. A boy who had disappeared over 8 months ago. "It can't be you," the Hawkage whispered, eyes widening. "Naruto, is that really you? In the flesh, Oji-san." A rare smile broke across the Hawkage's aged face as he closed his eyes to hold back tears. Naruto was like a grandson he never had. Naruto chuckled at the sight. "Don't start crying, old man, you'll ruin your image. Besides, it's not like I'm dead." Wiping his eyes with his sleeve, the Hawkage asked, voice thick with emotion, "Where have you been, my boy? When I heard what happened, I nearly lost my mind. And then I was told someone took you away. What really happened to you? Don't leave anything out." Naruto exhaled, settling into the chair before the desk. Slowly, he began recounting everything. His rescue, the strange dream that had brought him back, and what he had become. When the tale ended, the Hawkage leaned back, eyes piercing. "Quite a story, Naruto. Most would call it unbelievable. Thankfully, I'm not most people." Naruto blinked, stunned. "You actually believe me?" "Of course," the Hawkage said warmly. "You've never lied to me, why start now? Though I have a few questions if you don't mind." "Ask away, but don't take too long. I can't stay forever." "You said your adoptive father is the king of vampires and that you're his heir. That implies there are countless vampires hidden from the world. How many are there?" "I'm not entirely sure," Naruto admitted sheepishly. "Maybe around 100,000. Most stay in the underworld, in strongholds or something. Dad's rules keep things in check." The Hawkage exhaled in relief. "For a moment, I thought vampire attacks would be everywhere." "No need to worry, Oji-san. My father's rules are strict. Anyone who disobeys is hunted by the Black Swords." "The who?" "The Black Swords. Think of them as a vampire police force," Naruto explained. "Older vampires he trusts, armed with enchanted weapons to hunt rogue vampires." The old man nodded, a weight lifting from his chest. "I see, and how strong are you compared to Konoha's shinobi?" Naruto furrowed his brow in thought. "Right now, only about high genin level. Sunlight blocks most of my powers. After dark, I'd be at least high chunin level, fast as a jonin but strength like a high genin." The Hawkage's eyebrows rose. "Impressive for someone so young. And your father. How strong is he?" "Why do you want to know, Oji-san?" "Curiosity. The last time I encountered him, he released immense ki, almost on par with the Kyuubi. but I could tell he was holding back. I want to know his true strength, Naruto sighed. Honestly, I'm not sure. He seems godlike in the tailies. When I saw him face the Kyuubi, the fox was afraid, terrified. The Hokage swallowed hard, forcing his fear to remain hidden. The Kyuubi was already among the strongest Biju. Yet Naruto's father, Alucard, surpassed even that. A chilling thought. Clearing his mind, the Hokage asked the question he'd been dreading. Naruto, will you ever return to Konoha? To stay, Naruto's gaze fell. Oji-san, you know what they did to me. You know the hell I've lived since birth. Part of me wants to leave this room and take vengeance on everyone who hurt me. The old man's eyes mixed pity, sorrow, and anger. Pity for the boy, sadness for what could have been avoided, and anger at the villagers' foolishness. Even so, I will come back. The Hokage's eyes widened. I made you a promise, old man, Naruto said softly. I promised I'd become a ninja, prove them all wrong, no matter what. That's why I allowed myself to change. But understand this, I will never be Konoha's shinobi. I will be a shinobi of the Hokage, loyal to you alone. The Hokage nodded. I think I can arrange that. I'd suggest you return on March 29th, 4 years from now. Naruto tilted his head, confused. Why that date, Oji-san? On March 31st, 4 years from now, your Ninja Academy class will graduate. That gives you just 2 days to settle in before taking the exam. Why do I even have to take that dumb test? Naruto muttered, crossing his arms. Rules are rules, the older man replied calmly. Even I can't bend them. Anyone who wants to become a shinobi in Konoha must pass the genin exam at the academy. Naruto groaned but gave a nod of understanding. Fine, then my family and I will arrive in Konoha on March 29th, 4 years from now. He stood, his chair scraping lightly against the floor, and turned to face the room. Father, I'm ready. Please open the portal. With a soft hiss, a rectangle of swirling energy shimmered into existence just inside the doorway. Naruto bowed, then paused. Oji-san, one last favor? He asked quietly. Anything for you, of course, the old man replied. Tell her that I love her, always have, always will, and that I'll see her again. Until then, she has to stay strong, no matter what anyone says. Can you promise me that? Naruto's voice was barely above a whisper. I'll deliver your message myself. You have my word. Thank you, Oji-san, for everything. Naruto nodded, then stepped into the portal. It snapped shut behind him. The old man sank back into his chair, pulling a pipe from his desk. He stuffed it, lit it, and inhaled deeply. 4 years, he thought, exhaling smoke slowly. 4 years until every fool in this village finally realizes the mistake they made with him. A sharp, predatory grin curved his lips. I can wait that long. 4 years later, night of March 26th, 9 miles north of Konoha, a small, nondescript hill rested among the trees. Few knew it existed, and fewer cared. It wasn't tall, steep, or rocky, just an ordinary grassy mound. That was about to change. The forest's animals felt it first, a subtle, unnatural shift in the air, too deliberate to be wind. The disturbance grew, twisting the earth's energy like ripples in water. Then, with the suddenness of a lightning strike, a shadow erupted from the ground like a jagged blade. Slowly, the darkness coalesced into a massive structure. Tall walls of gleaming black stone rose skyward, crowned with towers. Narrow slits punctured the walls for defense, making it a fortress built to withstand any assault. The nearby animals fled instinctively. Instinct whispered that life itself would end for those who approached. And indeed, this was no ordinary place. It was the mortal domain of Vladimir Teeps, the fortress once called Ponari. On the walls, 5 figures emerged silently, like phantoms in the moonlight. 2 wore long, billowing coats, another stood smoking, the tip of their cigarette glowing bright against the darkness. The remaining 2 donned loose garments that trailed behind them like comet tails. So, that's your village? The smoker asked, gesturing toward the distant lights of Konoha. Yeah, that's Konoha all right, replied another with a deep sigh. Calm yourself or they'll sense your energy, a soft, feminine voice warned. They'll know we're here soon enough, a deep, slightly unhinged voice snapped. Let the boy feel anger. Soon we'll reveal ourselves and the real fun begins. True, but I'd rather not kill anyone unnecessarily, a melancholy voice sighed. For a bodyguard, you're quite the pacifist, the smoker teased. And you, for a genius, aren't observant, the sad voice shot back. Gentlemen, save your energy for later, the soft voice interjected. We may need it. As always, your advice is wise, the deep voice replied. Come, we must rest until dawn. Then we go meet the Hawkage and announce our arrival to this pathetic village. The figures turned, fading silently back into the fortress. The next day, Hiruzen Sarutobi sat at his desk, pipe in hand, releasing long streams of smoke. It was his usual routine, yet today there was an unusual tension in the air. Beneath the desk, his foot tapped in rhythm, impatience or worry. Observers had remarked that he seemed more energetic than he had in years. Some thought it was a secret jutsu, others coffee, but the truth was far simpler. Hinata Hyuga alone knew. Today was the day Naruto had promised to return. By 8 a.m., all paperwork was finished, a feat unheard of for the Hawkage. Yet by 9, boredom and suspense gnawed at him. He exhaled, spinning to glance out over Konoha. Villagers moved about their daily lives, calm and peaceful. A shiver ran down his spine, breaking his momentary relaxation. He spun around, and there they were. 3 figures, none human, standing in his office. Naruto and his adoptive parents had arrived. Alucard no, Vladimir Teeps looked changed. Armor gleamed across his body, and a thick mustache framed his face. Beside him, Sira's Victoria, presumably Naruto's adoptive mother, wore a long black cheongsam patterned with silver flames and a coiling red dragon. Naruto's attire had changed slightly. A simple black zip-up jacket, black boots with silver buckles. The Hawkage rose and bowed. Thank you, Alucard-san, Vladimir-san, for returning Naruto safely. Vladimir, please. Alucard is just a nickname I tolerate, the vampire replied. I apologize for the error, Hiruzen said with a bow. No harm done. Let me introduce my wife, Sira's Victoria. And truly, I should thank you for allowing us to join your village. No need to thank me. Helping Naruto, it was inevitable, the Hawkage said with a warm laugh. Sira's smiled. Still, your care for him matters. Few people truly cared while he lived here, and for that, I am grateful. More people care than you think, Miss Victoria. The issue is fear of those who tormented him, Hiruzen said solemnly. Even so, your support has been invaluable, Vladimir nodded. Enough of such somber talk, Hiruzen said, straightening papers on his desk. We must discuss your official clan recognition. I've filled out some forms, clan creation date, origin, and recent history. You'll present yourselves as refugees from Kiri. What remains is your clan's name, symbol, members, and the head of the clan. Vladimir gave a small nod, taking the stack of forms and swiftly beginning to fill them out. In the section labeled members, he pressed a faint blood seal, designed so that if he, Naruto, or Sira's ever turned someone while here, their name would automatically appear on the paperwork. When he finished, he skimmed the forms one last time before returning them to the Hawkage. The Hawkage's eyes scanned the completed documents. Clan name, Teeps clan head, Vladimir Teeps members, Vladimir Teeps, Sira's V. Teeps, Naruto U Teeps, Kenshin Himura, Walter C. Dornez VII. At the bottom of the page was the emblem of Konoha's newest clan, a sleek red W against a black backdrop. Unbeknownst to the Hawkage, it was the ancient symbol of Wallachnia's principality, unseen by humans for thousands of years. Satisfied that everything was properly filled, the Hawkage stamped the papers with his seal. Extending his hand, Vladimir grasped it in his cold, iron-like grip. As the third Hawkage of Konohagakure, it is my honor to welcome the Teeps clan, Sarutobi said warmly. Vladimir bowed with measured respect. We are honored to serve, my Lord Hawkage. How shall we proceed? For now, you are free to do as you please, the Hawkage replied kindly. However, Naruto must be at the academy by 9 o'clock on the day of the Genin exam. Once the exam concludes, I expect you and the rest of your clan here around noon. There will be a council meeting, and all new clans must appear before it to officially join the village. The pleasures of bureaucracy, every leader's nightmare, Vladimir murmured dryly. Indeed, Sarutobi chuckled. Yet without it, no leader could govern beneath the weight of endless paperwork. Annoyingly true, Vladimir said with a slight smirk. We shall return at the appointed time, Lord Hawkage. With that, the vampire family bowed once more. As they straightened, shadows seemed to swallow them, leaving the old man fairly certain that Naruto had waved goodbye. Sarutobi murmured to himself, a hint of wonder in his voice. Undetectable, swift, fearless, and immeasurably strong, perhaps vampires were made to be shinobi after all. March 31st, 8:45 a.m. Naruto settled into the back corner of the classroom, farthest from the door, waiting for his classmates to arrive. At the front, Uruka moved busily, arranging the room for the upcoming exams. Upon entering quietly through the shadowed area near the teacher's desk, Naruto was met with Uruka's gentle smile. The Hokage had already informed the teacher of Naruto's unusual nature, and with a warm tone, Uruka simply said, "Welcome home, little brother." Naruto smiled faintly, but quickly masked it with an air of bored detachment, pulling up his hood and leaning back in his chair. Soon, his classmates began filing in, their chatter filling the room. By 10 minutes in, the classroom buzzed with the excitement of the impending test. Naruto used the time to mentally note who might become his fellow genin. Near the front sat Shino Aburame, heir to the Aburame clan. Not a fighter in the conventional sense, but his swarms of Kikaichu could sap an opponent's chakra quickly, and their sensory capabilities might detect Naruto's near-total absence of chakra, a potential problem. Just behind Shino was Kiba and Yuzuka, the opposite, raw strength paired with the cunning of his dog partner Akamaru. Even an immortal Prince of Shadows couldn't dismiss the danger he posed. Across the aisle, Choji Akimichi and Shikamaru Nara made an unlikely yet deadly pair. Choji's body expansion turned him into a formidable tank, while Shikamaru's strategic genius made him a dangerous ally and opponent. At the front were two girls Naruto had found irritating over the years, Sakura Haruno and Ino Yamanaka. Ino's clan abilities, particularly her mental techniques, could be bothersome, while Sakura, despite her chakra control and test scores, lacked practical combat utility. Her focus appeared to be on a certain boy. And that boy, of course, was Sasuke Uchiha, sitting directly in front of Naruto. To him, Sasuke was insufferable, arrogant, spoiled, and obsessed with vengeance. The council's indulgence only amplified the Uchiha's sense of self-importance, much to Naruto's simultaneous amusement and annoyance. Truthfully, though, Naruto barely cared about any of them. The only person who mattered was seated next to him, Hinata. He stole a glance at her beneath his hood. In his absence, she had blossomed into a confident, formidable young woman. The shyness and stammering of her youth had vanished, replaced with resolve and skill. Over the past 4 years, Naruto had managed secret meetings with her, catching up on events while carefully keeping his true powers hidden. He wasn't allowed to reveal them without his father's permission, and fear of rejection weighed heavily on him. Uruka glanced at the clock, then at the filled classroom. Nodding to himself, he closed the door. "All right, everyone, today is the day," he announced, lifting a stack of papers. "The genin exams. Remember, there are 4 parts: written, taijutsu, weapons, and ninjutsu. Passing all 4 earns you your hit and assignment to a 3-student team with a Jonin sensei. Clan abilities and special techniques are allowed as long as they follow the rules. We'll start with the written exam." As Uruka distributed the papers, pencil tips scratched across them in frantic motion, most of the students anyway. Shikamaru dozed, Kiba panicked slightly, and Naruto, surprisingly, focused quietly on his test, already planning improvements to a new technique he and Kenshin had been refining. Once the written exam concluded, Mizuki arrived to lead the students to the taijutsu demonstration. At the sparring ring, she reminded everyone of the rules, calling pairs to compete. Naruto tuned out most of the instruction, confident the strongest would prevail. His attention drifted instead to a mental review of his technique, searching for any flaws. His thoughts broke when Mizuki called out, "Hinata Hyuga and Choji Akimichi." Naruto's lips curved into a small smile as Hinata stepped into the ring, facing the much larger Akimichi. He stayed tense, though. He knew her Juuken skills were formidable, but without chakra, Choji's sheer physical power gave him a clear advantage. Mizuki glanced at the 2 students standing in the ring. "Get ready." Hinata sank gracefully into the gentle fist stance. Choji shifted his right foot back and raised his fists, assuming a makeshift boxing stance. "Hajime!" Before Choji could even react, Hinata lunged forward with startling speed. Her right palm slammed into his chest with precision. As he staggered back, trying to create distance, she dropped low and swept his legs out from under him. Her momentum carried her into a spin, and her other knee struck his back, lifting him briefly into the air. He barely had time to react before a precise punch drove him into the dirt. Standing tall once her opponent hit the ground, Hinata dusted herself off and fixed Mizuki with a calm, expectant gaze. Mizuki froze for a moment, mouth agape, clearly at a loss for words. "Winner, Hinata," he finally managed. Hinata bowed slightly before returning to Naruto's side. Shikamaru stepped into the ring to help Choji up. Around them, the class watched in stunned silence. Even Naruto found himself momentarily speechless. No one had ever seen Hinata move like that. What she had done didn't even resemble standard Juken techniques. She was supposed to be shy, almost timid, yet here she was, launching a full assault and utterly defeating her opponent. Where had this hidden strength come from? Naruto chuckled quietly in his mind. Look at their faces, she's been holding back this whole time, serves them right. Kurama let out a short, amused snort. Finally, someone who seems to understand what being a shinobi really means. Who in their right mind wastes their strength just to show off to a weaker opponent? Across the ring, Sasuke sneezed loudly. "Does that answer your question?" Naruto whispered, grinning. Kurama blinked in disbelief. I can't believe it. That actually worked. I thought that was only in comics." Naruto stifled a small chuckle, but it escaped nonetheless. Hinata looked at him curiously. He leaned closer and whispered, "Just laughing at a joke I made up." Her lips curved into a knowing smirk. "I assume you'll share it with me later." "Whatever you command, my Shirihime," Naruto said with a grin and a small bow. For the next few minutes, they simply stood together, quietly enjoying each other's company while watching the remaining matches. Most were unremarkable, but when Shino faced Sasuke, Naruto's respect for the Aburame grew, and so did his distaste for the Uchiha. That match shouldn't have happened. Without his insects, Shino was at a severe disadvantage, yet he fought with determination. Sasuke exploited every opening, yet instead of ending it quickly, he seemed to relish teasing his outmatched opponent. After almost 5 grueling minutes, Shino finally stepped back, but the resolve and persistence he'd shown left a strong impression on Naruto. Finally, it was time for the exam's last match. "All right," Mizuki began, his voice tight as he checked his clipboard. "The final sparring match is between Kiba and Yuzuka and Naruto Teeps." The students exchanged puzzled glances. Only one Naruto was known, and most thought he had vanished 4 years ago. Many scanned the crowd for the familiar spiky blonde hair, but most weren't looking out of friendship. They were hoping to see their old favorite target. Kiba, however, was already in the ring, waiting. "Ha, that loser must have run off again, scared to face me, too chicken to fight," he called out loudly. A figure stepped into the ring, cloaked and calm. "I believe I am your opponent," the newcomer said. "Who the hell are you?" Kiba demanded. "I am Naruto Teeps, son of Vladimir and Sira's Teeps. I was once the Naruto you've heard of," the silver-haired boy replied, lowering his hood to reveal a flowing ponytail. Kiba scoffed. "Yeah, right. The Naruto I knew was a short blonde idiot in orange. No way that's you." Naruto's sapphire eyes gleamed beneath the shadows of his hood. "Would I be correct in assuming you mean Naruto Uzumaki?" "Exactly," Kiba snapped. "That's the only Naruto there is." "Then yes, I am not him," Naruto said, smirking. "But I was once." Kiba crouched into his taijutsu stance. "Doesn't matter who you are, I'll make sure you regret stepping in this ring," Naruto chuckled. "Another impossibility. But you are welcome to try." Kiba froze, noticing Naruto's unusual stance. His torso was parallel to the ground, legs spread, arms extended almost to the floor, fingers curved like talons. The stance was unfamiliar, yet something about it unsettled him. Naruto smiled faintly under his hood, recognizing the confusion. Memories of his rigorous training with his father flickered through his mind. Flashback on a barren plain, Vladimir stood with Naruto at his side. "For the next 2 months, I will push you to your limits. Every moment will be spent sharpening your abilities," he said coldly. "All right," Naruto grinned, drawing the crimson moon from his back. "That weapon is secondary. First, you must master your fists and fangs," Vladimir said. "But why fight barehanded if I have a weapon?" "Because strength alone is worthless without control. Prove it to me." Obediently, Naruto lunged. His weapon swung, cutting only air. "Too slow," his father whispered before pain blurred his world. End flashback. 2 weeks of relentless training had forged Naruto's body and mind. Now he was ready. Mizuki finally signaled. Hajime! Kiba roared and charged, fully expecting to overwhelm his opponent. But as he advanced, uncertainty crept into his mind. The strange stance and calm demeanor of Naruto Teeps unnervingly hinted at powers he couldn't yet comprehend. As Kiba closed the distance, he lunged like a predator, teeth bared and instincts sharp. His plan was straightforward: overwhelm his opponent and force a submission. But as he landed, he froze. Naruto was suddenly behind him. Kiba spun instinctively, aiming a sharp backhand at the boy, but Naruto had already vanished, reappearing once more behind him. "Stay still, you coward," Kiba barked, "and just let you hit me." "I'm not that dumb," Naruto replied coolly. The calm, collected tone only fueled Kiba's rage. This time he didn't stop his spin. He twisted faster, becoming a whirlwind of fury, a tornado of raw power. Naruto, unshaken, raised a single brow. As Kiba's spinning assault neared, Naruto brought his fingers together and struck once. A sharp crack echoed through the air. The tornado slowed, then collapsed entirely. When the dust settled, Kiba stood, scowling, clutching his wrist to his chest. The angle told the story. It was broken. Mizuki's eyes narrowed. If Kiba's wrist was broken, the Inuzuka would automatically lose, and that meant victory for Naruto. He had no choice but to announce it. "Winner, Naruto Teeps," Mizuki spat. Naruto ignored the simmering hatred radiating from Mizuki and walked toward Hinata, who watched him with wide, admiring eyes. Most students began to drift toward the target range, oblivious to the storm brewing behind them. Alone in the ring, Kiba saw Naruto walking away with a smug, imagined air, Hinata's shy smile fueling his frustration. In a flash, he drew a battle kunai and hurled it at Naruto's back. He might have lost the match, but he wasn't going to let his rival walk away unscathed. Mizuki's lips curled into a satisfied grin, confident that he wouldn't be blamed. He waited for the thud of impact, but it never came. Instead, a sharp clang of metal ringing against metal cut through the air. Naruto stood just beyond the ring's edge, arms crossed, scowling. Hinata hovered close, horrified. Kiba's kunai lay in 2 pieces, perfectly severed. Hovering above it, held by a figure in a light purple top and white pants, was the blade that had done the job. The swordsman's amber eyes blazed as they locked on Kiba. "Oh, hey there, Kenshin. Didn't know you were around," Naruto said, eerily calm. "Excuse me," Mizuki squeaked. "This one doubts that very much, Naruto Dono. You moved slowly through the village so I could track you with ease," Kenshin replied, never breaking his stare at Kiba. "That's not true. I haven't been here in years. I didn't want to get lost," Naruto protested. "Excuse me," Mizuki repeated. "This one asks your pardon for doubting, Naruto Dono," Kenshin said with a small sigh. "This place is huge, and you know how often I got lost in Shadowfang," Naruto grumbled. "True, but here, asking for directions won't get you incinerated, blown up, or sliced into pieces," Kenshin remarked dryly. Okay, I get it. I can hold my own in a fight," Naruto snapped. "Excuse me," Mizuki tried again, louder this time. Kenshin finally looked at Naruto, eyes cooling to amethyst. "Sparring sessions are enough to demonstrate your skill." "Sparring my foot," Naruto roared. "Between you, Dad, and Chris, it's safer outside than in the hall. At least no one's constantly trying to blow my chest open or chop off my head." "I would never decapitate you completely, Naruto Dono," Kenshin replied, before muttering under his breath. Mizuki had reached his limit. "Excuse me." "Huh," Naruto tilted his head. "Oro," Kenshin murmured. "Who are you and what are you doing here?" Mizuki demanded. "I am Naruto Teep's personal bodyguard, Kenshin Himura. It is my duty to protect him from all threats. Speaking of which," Kenshin's eyes burned amber as he fixed Kiba with a deadly glare. "How shall this villain be punished for attacking Naruto Dono? Know that I would gladly end him for the attempt." Naruto chuckled darkly. "No need for execution this time." "As you command," Kenshin said, sheathing his blade. "Naruto Dono is merciful, but cross him again, and you'll be dead before you count to 2. With a bow, he turned and disappeared. Mizuki seized the moment. "Halt, you're under arrest for threatening a Konoha shinobi." He brandished kunai in both hands, hoping to frame Naruto. Kenshin faced him calmly, bored. "Why arrest the boy? The threatened one isn't a shinobi yet. The one who attempted murder is the one you should arrest. Shut up, Mizuki roared, throwing his kunai. Kenshin flexed his wrists, revealing two short swords. Kodachi Nito Ryu. Goko Jujin. He deflected both kunai with a single motion, then launched one sword like a missile. It embedded into the wall near Mizuki, narrowly missing his neck. Kodachi Nito Ryu. Onmyo Hashi. Kenshin met Mizuki's terrified gaze. Do not test me. Interfere with Naruto Dono or his family again, and you will die. None of this happened, understood? Mizuki and Kiba nodded, trembling. Kenshin vanished. The courtyard went still. Uruka stepped out of a nearby door, calm as ever. What's all the noise? I couldn't get any grading done, though I'm not complaining. Mizuki snapped back. Oh, nothing major. The last match just got heated. My apologies for disturbing you. Uruka raised an eyebrow but let it go. All right, so ready to practice? This time, I hope you mean at the range, Mizuki muttered. Of course. Let's go, Uruka said cheerfully. The group joined the class at the practice range, a simple area with a metal bar marking the line and wooden targets set 10 yards away. Mizuki read names from his clipboard, calling students to throw 3 kunai and 5 shuriken at the targets, scoring accuracy. As expected, those Naruto observed excelled. Hinata's weapons nearly all hit the bullseyes, even without her Byakugan. Sasuke followed, hitting his targets perfectly, then setting the silhouette ablaze using dragon fire. Naruto merely scowled, waiting for his turn. When the new target was ready, Naruto studied it before turning to Uruka. Hey, Uruka-sensei, I haven't thrown kunai or shuriken in a while. Can I use my own weapon this time? Uruka scratched the back of his head, looking a bit unsure. I don't see why not. Technically, the exam just asks you to show that you can handle your weapon. It doesn't specifically say it has to be kunai or shuriken, so go ahead. Naruto perked up. In that case, can I go over there? My weapon works better from long range. Over where? Right in front of the doors. Naruto pointed confidently. Uruka followed his gesture to the spot, then glanced back at the targets. He did a quick mental calculation of the distance before turning back to Naruto. You do realize that's, what, about 120 yards? You really think you can hit the targets from that far away? Naruto blinked at him like he'd just lost his mind. Uruka-sensei, I've never missed anything under 400 yards. I could hit this with my eyes closed if I wanted. If you say so. This is nothing, Naruto thought, grinning. Don't worry, this is easy. He started walking toward his chosen spot but paused, looking back at Uruka. Oh, you might want to move everyone away from the targets. My weapon, it kind of goes through people like tissue paper. A slightly manic grin spread across his face at the last words. With that, Naruto reached his position. Sasuke, seizing the opportunity, pushed through the crowd to glare at Naruto's back with a scowl. What a doby, Sasuke thought. He saw how strong I am, so now he's trying to outdo me. He knows he can't compete with my dragon fire jutsu, so he's going for distance. That idiot won't hit a thing. Naruto flipped around, unhooked Crimson Moon from his belt, and unfolded it. Instead of its usual gun-scythe form, it transformed into a high-powered sniper rifle. The blade folded under the barrel to form a grip, and the counterweight slid down to become the buttstock. Smoothly, Naruto assumed his shooting stance and pulled back the action lever with a sharp K-chack. He lined up the targets, took a deep breath, and fired. 3 loud cracks echoed across the training ground. Moments later, Naruto relaxed, folded his weapon back into its original form, and strolled back toward the group. Uruka was baffled. That strange weapon, the loud noises, the smoke, Naruto hadn't even seemed to aim. And yet, he hadn't seen the targets move. Could it be some kind of super-powered kunai launcher? His eyes darted to the targets, and he gasped. Mizuki and the class followed his gaze, their expressions turning from curiosity to disbelief. The targets were obliterated. The circular one had a single grapefruit-sized hole in the exact center of the bull's. The silhouette target was worse, a gaping hole in the chest, as if a human had been shot clean through, and the head and neck were completely gone, shredded beyond recognition. Uruka's mind raced. Naruto's weapon had pierced a 5-inch thick wooden target as if it were nothing, and the wood was made from chakra trees, almost as hard as iron. If it could do that to this target, Uruka didn't even want to imagine what it could do to a living person. Forcing himself to remain calm, Uruka cleared his throat as Naruto rejoined the class. "All right, everyone," he announced. "That's the weapons portion of the exam. Mizuki, can you take the students inside and start the ninjutsu portion?" Mizuki nodded, whispering to the class as they followed him. Uruka gently placed a hand on Naruto's shoulder. "Can we talk for a moment?" he asked quietly. Naruto nodded, turning back to Hinata. "Go on ahead, I'll be there soon." Hinata looked a little flustered but nodded. "Okay, save you a S-seat and Naruto-kun, please don't take too long." Naruto grinned mischievously and bowed. "As you wish, Shiraheim." Hinata's cheeks flamed scarlet, but she scurried inside before she could faint. Uruka whistled softly. "Wow, it's been years since I've seen her turn that red. Rumor has it you're the reason she's acting like this. Someone said you gave her a secret message before disappearing." Naruto shook his head, eyes still following her. "No, she's always been strong. I just gave her a reason to show it." Then he looked back at Uruka. "So, besides my little note, what else did the old man tell you?" Uruka's face darkened. "Everything. Why you left, your new clan induction, and that you know exactly what you're capable of. Which brings me to one question. Did you use any of your clan or friend abilities just now?" Naruto's eyes flashed from curiosity to annoyance, then softened into a tired frown. "Uruka-sensei, don't you trust me?" "I trust you, I just need to know." "I didn't use any of those powers during the test. My clan abilities can't be used in sunlight, and my friend powers aren't that precise. He's more of an overkill type." "Overkill?" Kurama huffed internally. "There's no such thing. There's enough force to take down an enemy, and then there's enough to make sure they stay down in lots of pieces. I follow the second." Naruto smiled. "Thanks, I feel a bit more in control now. But seriously, what did you see? I know B-rank jutsu that can't do that much damage." Uruka shook his head, amazed. "I have no idea, your weapon is insane." Naruto shrugged. "I just used my personal weapon. I don't fully understand how it works. All I know is when I pull the trigger, the target ends up like that." "Helpful," Uruka muttered, rolling his eyes. "Well, I'll note that you proved your skill with a clan weapon," Uruka continued. "Now, the ninjutsu test. You don't have chakra, but you need to perform kawarimi, bushin, henge, and one of your choice. How are you planning to manage that?" Naruto shifted nervously. "Sort of, I can't do the jutsu itself, but I can mimic it using my clan techniques." Uruka considered. "All right, I can work with that. Your clan is official, right?" "After today's council meeting, yeah." Naruto's confidence was unshakable. Uruka exhaled with relief. "Thank Kami, that makes the paperwork easier." Then he smirked. "Now let's get you back before a certain blue-haired girl comes out here and is overprotective," Naruto guessed. Uruka laughed nervously. "A bit. Once, she took down 2 Chunin for saying something bad about you on your birthday. She was terrifying." Naruto's jaw dropped. "Seriously, she must have been furious. Like you wouldn't believe." They walked back in silence until they reached the classroom, just in time to see Shikamaru use his Kagemain no Jutsu to slam Mizuki's head onto his desk. The class erupted in laughter, while Mizuki groaned and flung his forehead protector at Shikamaru. A quick scan of the classroom showed that just over half the students had already passed, judging by the forehead protectors now adorning their heads. Sasuke Uchiha was up next, letting Naruto slip back into his seat at the back without drawing attention. As usual, Sasuke couldn't resist showing off. With his relentless need to prove himself superior, he performed the legendary Gaokyaku no Jutsu, completely incinerating the practice dummy placed in the corner for the students' exercises. The display earned loud cheers from his classmates, while Naruto merely rolled his eyes. Mizuki rushed to replace the dummy, and Uruka handed Sasuke his forehead protector, which the Uchiha accepted with a smug, condescending grin. Naruto had missed most of his classmates' performances, but he did catch Hinata pass, elegantly executing Mizugan no Jutsu. After a few more names were called, it was finally Naruto's turn. Mizuki handed him the test instructions in a bored, monotone voice. "Perform a bushin, henge, kawarimi, and one additional jutsu of your choice." Naruto nodded, understanding. With a single hand sign, he whispered, "Kajinpu." "Doko Kage?" Shadow arts, disguised shadow from Naruto's shadow emerged a second figure. But it wasn't another Naruto. This time, it was an exact copy of Mizuki himself. He smirked at the shocked faces of his classmates. To them, it appeared he had flawlessly executed a transformation jutsu with only one hand sign. In truth, he had simply shaped his shadow to resemble Mizuki. He didn't even need the hand sign to manipulate his shadow, but he wasn't ready for anyone to know just how skilled he had become. Maintaining his smirk, Naruto performed a second hand sign. In a puff of smoke, both he and the clone vanished. When the smoke cleared, they had switched places. This time, he had merely dropped 2 smoke bombs, leapt to the clone's position, and manipulated the shadow to create the illusion of the switch. A snap of his fingers and the fake Mizuki vanished. Uruka struggled to hide his smile, watching Naruto pass the exam effortlessly. "Excellent! Now show us a jutsu of your own." Naruto nodded again, running through 5 rapid hand seals. He drew back his arm, rotated it sharply, and thrust his fist toward the wall. A subtle tremor rippled through the room, like the vibration from a nearby subwoofer. Then, with a loud crack, a section of plaster shattered, crumbling to dust. Turning to the class, Naruto bowed slightly. "Kei's Shinko." Impact wind, silence fell over the room. 4 years ago, Naruto had been the class clown, unable to perform even a basic jutsu. Now he had taken down Kiba with a single strike, demolished a target, executed 2 jutsu simultaneously with one hand sign, and demonstrated a jutsu so powerful that everyone could feel its impact. Many students questioned whether this was truly the Naruto they knew or someone else entirely. Only 3 students weren't shocked. Shinobu had sensed the silver-haired boy's power from the moment he entered the room, and Shikamaru Nara, predictably, was napping and likely wouldn't care even if he was awake. Uruka handed Naruto a forehead protector with a warm smile. As the young vampire returned to his seat, Uruka glanced over the test results on his desk, shuffled the papers, and cleared his throat. "Congratulations, everyone. You've all passed your exams and are now eligible to become genin of Konoha. Return tomorrow at 3 o'clock to be assigned to your teams and a Jonin sensei. Now, for the part you've all been waiting for, the Rookie of the Year award." In third place, Shikamaru Nara. Polite applause met the announcement, while Shikamaru groaned and sank back into sleep. Second place, Shinobu. The class clapped again, and Shino inclined his head quietly. "Thank you. For the first time in the award's history, we have a tie for first place. This year's Rookies of the Year are Sasuke Uchiha and Naruto Teeps." For a brief moment, the room went silent before erupting into chaos. Uchiha fangirls screamed accusations of cheating. Others shouted at the fangirls to quiet down. Some were simply frustrated they hadn't won. The only voices absent were those of the winners and Hinata. Uruka raised his voice over the commotion. "Silence. Naruto and Sasuke both scored perfect marks on all their tests. That is final. If you still have complaints, take them to the Hokage. Otherwise, class is dismissed." Almost immediately, Naruto dashed for the door, dragging Hinata behind him. Being named Co-Rookie of the Year was bound to stir trouble. Outside the academy, a crowd had gathered, mostly concerned parents, friends, and a few curious jonin observing this year's class. Today, however, the discussion wasn't about ordinary school gossip, but about one boy in particular. A few furtive glances toward a pair of figures under a large tree revealed the topic of interest. The male companion exhaled smoke from his cigarette and addressed the woman beside him. "Lady Teeps, I suggest avoiding that dress in public from now on. Judging by their stares, it's drawing unwanted attention." Sira's Victoria Teeps frowned. "Chris, they aren't staring at the dress, they're staring at what's underneath. It's nothing new, also I told you to call me Sira's." Chris tapped the ash from his cigarette. "While technically true, it doesn't stop their eyes, and I must address you as my queen as you deserve." Sira's narrowed her eyes. "Nothing I wear will stop them from staring. And if you ever call me queen outside the castle, you and Captain Bernadette will meet, intimately. Understand?" Chris bowed. "As you command, my lady." She rolled her eyes. "Sometimes you're almost as much trouble as Kenshin or Naruto." Chris inhaled, then exhaled. "Speaking of Naruto, here he comes." "Speak of the devil, I suppose." Sira's turned. "Who's that with him?" "His girlfriend," Chris replied. "You mean Hinata-chan?" Sira said, surprised. "Wait, how do you know her? I'm his mother." "You told us to follow Naruto and ensure he didn't get into trouble. Considering how much time he spends with her, it would be impossible not to know her." Chris exhaled smoke. Besides, he hasn't introduced her to the castle yet, probably for her safety. We would never hurt her, Siraz protested. Chris glanced at the approaching pair. Clearly, she's about to meet you anyway. They're running right at us. Other students were also meeting their families, and the adults' whispers and complaints about Naruto only added to the chaos. Seeing the crowd closing in, Chris crushed his cigarette underfoot and commented, "Looks like Naruto's angered someone again." Siraz pinched her nose, shaking her head. Despite the trouble he caused, Naruto remained the bright spot in her unlife. She smiled as he stopped before her, Hinata still following closely. "Hi, Mom. Hi, Chris. I'm so glad to see you," Naruto called out, his face lighting up. That small word, Mom, always sent a shiver down Siraz's spine. He hadn't taken long to start saying it, yet hearing it from him still warmed her heart. She had often feared she'd never hear it directed at her. She stepped forward, bent slightly, and wrapped him in a hug. "Hello, Naruto. It's wonderful to see you too, sweetheart." Standing upright, she glanced at the girl behind him. "And this must be the Hinata I've heard so much about?" Hinata felt her cheeks burn crimson, realizing Naruto had spoken about her. Her nervousness resurfaced, making her stammer. Hello, mmm. Siraz's smile softened at the sight of the girl. "It's truly a pleasure to meet you, young lady. Naruto's told us so many things." Naruto's voice piped up, slightly panicked. Mom, this is all nice, but we don't really have time for this." Chris grinned broadly at him. "So, who did you manage to piss off this time, kid?" Naruto frowned, crossing his arms. "You make it sound like I do that all the time." "Wait, you don't deliberately piss people off." Kurama's voice teased from the corner of Naruto's mind. "I thought that was basically your hobby." Chris laughed. "Back home, I've got a 15-page list of people you've ticked off since I became your bodyguard." His expression grew serious. "So, who's it this time?" Naruto's face turned red if he could blush properly. "Well, I was named Rookie of the Year," Siraz squealed, scooping him into a tight hug. "I knew you'd do it." "Mom, let me finish," Naruto protested. "I tied with last year's winner, which everyone thinks is impossible. So now they think I cheated, and all his supporters are coming after me." Chris lit a cigarette, observing the crowd approaching. "That explains the angry-looking adults heading this way. Judging by the few forehead protectors, most of them are civilians. Was the guy you tied with a young man with black hair, black eyes, and a permanent scowl?" "Yeah, that's Sasuke. Then he's probably leading them." Naruto groaned. "Fantastic, just keeps getting better." Siraz closed her eyes and reached out mentally. "My lord, we need your help. What is it now?" Vladimir's reply came, weary. "I just got word Arya is at it again." "Nothing that serious." Naruto annoyed some locals and they look ready to rip him apart. "That's it," he said flatly. "Just kill them all and move on. You know I can't. Even guards are forbidden to kill without cause, and Makai law forbids it." "Fine, what do you suggest then?" "Try a really creepy shadow entrance with some intense death glares. That should scatter them." "Understood. I'll be there in a moment." He severed the connection. When Siraz opened her eyes, she suppressed a small laugh. Naruto and Sasuke faced each other about a foot apart. Sasuke's arms were crossed, chin high, eyes narrowed in challenge. Naruto, in contrast, lounged casually with his hands in his pockets. Sasuke spoke first, trying to assert his superiority. "Admit it, Dobi," Naruto frowned. "Admit what? I haven't done anything illegal." Sasuke's face flushed with anger. "Admit that you tied with me when everyone knows I'm the best." "Oh, that's what you meant," Naruto shouted with glee. "I admit it. I tied with Sasuke because I am epic." A stunned silence fell. Chris facepalmed and the crowd erupted, circling them, forming a barrier around Naruto, Sasuke, Siraz, and Hinata. "You little liar," one man bellowed. "There's no way someone like you could rival Sasuke. He's the last Uchiha, the strongest clan in Konoha. You're just a freakish, clanless." Siraz noticed Chris struggling to keep Hinata from reacting, and many in the crowd nodded in agreement. Another civilian stepped forward. "Who let you in anyway? You'll never be a ninja. Just give up, go home, die." Siraz finally intervened. She tapped one man lightly on the shoulder, smiling with eyes narrowed dangerously. "Could someone kindly explain why you think speaking to my son this way is acceptable?" One man spat at Naruto before answering. "He's a monster, a bastard, a demon. He should have died at birth. He should kill himself and finish what the Yondaime started." He spat again, hitting Siraz's shoe. Siraz kept her sweet smile. Thank you, I understand perfectly. The man smirked, thinking he'd found another target. Sira's eyes blazed crimson. The crowd recoiled. I understand that you are all fools and monsters. Even demons wouldn't act like this. Walk away now, and I will forget this. But if anyone insults my son again, I will tear you apart piece by piece and revel in every scream. Her voice had turned from sweetness to a predator's growl. A woman with bright pink hair pushed forward. So you're the mother of that monster. How does it feel to raise a bloodthirsty demon who would kill us all in an instant? Sira's growled. Do not call my son that. The woman sneered, raising her hand. What did you sell for that one night? Your soul, your humanity. Scum, a deep, commanding voice boomed. The ground seemed to shake. The pink-haired woman froze, searching for the source. Vladimir emerged from the shadows, armored and menacing. Shinobi in the crowd sensed the immense, deadly chakra. Fear gripped every heart. This man was death incarnate, and none could withstand his presence. Some tried to convince themselves that the strange sensation they were experiencing was nothing more than a genjutsu, futilely attempting to break free from the illusion they believed held them captive. Vladimir's laughter cut through the air, deep and unyielding. Illusion? No, this is the truth of my power. I am as real as any of you, and I will make that evident. A twisted, almost gleeful smile spread across the ancient vampire's face as the fury within him ignited, causing his crimson eyes to burn with intensity. Those blazing orbs fell on the man who had dared to spit on Sira's shoe. The same man, once trembling with fear, froze entirely under Vladimir's gaze, unable to move as the vampire slowly advanced. Terror surged as Vladimir drew his sword with deliberate calm, letting the edge graze the man's throat. 2 tiny drops of blood appeared on the pristine blade. At that moment, every vampire present seemed to glow with an eerie, sinister light. Vladimir's eyes shone the brightest as he fixed them on the man's horrified face. You dared to insult my son and defile my wife. You have committed the gravest crime, tarnishing my family's honor. For that, you shall pay with your life. The sword moved almost imperceptibly in Vladimir's hand, yet it cut through the man's neck as if slicing through paper. In a swift motion, the head flew through the air, hitting the ground with a wet smack before rolling into the hem of a white robe, the Hawkage's robe. Civilians and shinobi alike erupted in panic, calling out to the Hawkage and his ANBU escort. Soon, the pink-haired woman stepped forward, her voice commanding. Hawkage-sama, arrest this man at once. He has killed a citizen of Konoha, she shouted. The Hawkage's weary eyes met hers. He inhaled deeply from his pipe, exhaling in a long, steady stream of smoke. Glancing toward the ANBU with the dragon mask standing behind him, he said, Ryu, take care of the body before it begins to rot. Inform his family what happened, and ensure they understand that vengeance will only bring more death. Ryu nodded, and in a puff of smoke, both he and the corpse vanished. The Hawkage looked up, meeting Vladimir's relentless crimson gaze. Both men recognized the raw, terrifying power hidden beneath. Vladimir-san, I see what occurred, but I need the full account of events here, he said. The ancient vampire's lips curved into a faint, calculating smile. As you wish, Lord Hawkage. My son was recognized as one of this year's standout rookies, yet some accused him of cheating. I arrived after the initial altercation, so I do not know the details, but I witnessed the man who now lies dead spitting on my wife. Such an affront to my family could not go unanswered. I dealt with him accordingly. The Hawkage's expression tightened, thoughtful yet controlled. He inhaled deeply from his pipe once more before speaking. I understand now. I apologize for the disrespect the villagers have shown your family. Vladimir bowed deeply. Your apology is accepted, Lord Hawkage. I appreciate your trust in allowing me to handle the matter as I saw fit. A faint smile softened the old Hawkage's features. No thanks needed. You defended your family's honor. Now we all have matters to attend to, yes. Indeed, my lord. We shall see you again soon, Vladimir replied, bowing before turning to leave with his kind. The pink-haired woman's anger erupted. Hawkage-sama, you're letting them go. That man killed in cold blood. Who knows what else they could do if left unchecked? We should. Her words died in her throat as the Hawkage's gaze fell upon her. This was not the tired old glare she was used to. This was the look of the man who trained the legendary Sannin, mastered every jutsu in Konoha, and commanded respect as the village's protector. "Councilwoman Haruno," he said, his tone cutting and firm, "this was nothing more than a quarrel that you and your friends escalated. Vladimir-san acted in defense of his family, which is his right. Furthermore, I remind you that the law regarding the so-called demon remains in effect. Should I hear such outbursts again, you will spend a night in Ibuki's care. Understood?" "Yes, Hokage-sama," the crowd chorused. The old man shook his head, exhaling. "Now return home and forget this incident," he muttered as he walked back to his office, already anticipating the upcoming council meeting. 12 p.m., Konoha Council Chamber. The Hokage surveyed the council chamber with a weary sigh. The room held the village's ruling council, seated in a large circle. One by one, he noted each member's attendance. Once complete, he exhaled and considered the council's purpose. On one side, the civilian council sat, leaders of businesses and village organizations. Many shinobi distrusted the council, yet the Hokage knew their role was essential. Without them, shinobi would waste time managing mundane affairs. Across the room sat clan leaders from Konoha's most powerful families. Senju, Sarutobi, Namikaze, Nara, Yamanaka, Akimichi, Hyuga, Uchiha, Aburame, and Inuzuka. Too many seats were empty. The Namikazes had been nearly wiped out in the last war, Minato had fallen on the night of the Kyuubi's attack, and the Uchiha had mostly been slaughtered by one of their own. This left civilians with disproportionate influence. He had attempted to balance the council by appointing 3 old allies as advisors, though only 2 consistently aligned with him. Danzo Shimura, the third, pursued his own agenda. Tapping his gavel, the Hokage called the room to order. This session of the Konoha Ruling Council is now open. Today's agenda includes the formation of this year's genin teams, the trade dispute with Mizu no Kuni, and the loss of diplomatic contact with Sunagakure. Are there any objections or issues to discuss? Shibuya Burame unusually stood. He rarely spoke and almost never initiated topics. "Hokage-sama, I have a question. My son returned from the academy today, stating that a young man named Naruto Teeps tied with Sasuke Uchiha as Rookie of the Year. He suggested Teeps might be Naruto Uzumaki under another name. Has Naruto Uzumaki returned?" A heavy silence fell. Some council members, viewing Naruto as a weapon, were intrigued. Others, seeing him as a threat, bristled. The Hokage cleared his throat, preparing to respond, though he had an announcement of his own first, drawing the council's full attention. "As you all know, over the years we have suffered far too many losses among our finest shinobi," the elder warrior began, his voice heavy with the weight of history. "During the last war, 2 of our most respected clans were nearly wiped out, leaving only 1 member of each, Minato Namikaze and Tsunade Senju. Since then, Tsunade vanished, Minato fell defending the village, and the Uchiha were all but eradicated. We have survived as the strongest village largely through sheer numbers and the skill of a few exceptional jonin." He paused, letting the words sink in. 2 weeks ago, however, I received information that might help us recover from these devastating losses. A clan fleeing the bloodline purges in Kiri reached out to me. They told me they had lost many of their members, and after learning of their abilities, I assured them that they would find a home here in Konoha. Murmurs spread through the council chamber. Civilian members whispered about the economic potential of a new clan, while shinobi considered the political and tactical implications. "Without further delay," the elder continued, "I am proud to introduce Konoha's newest clan, the Teeps." The massive iron doors swung open with a dramatic clang. 5 figures entered, moving with precision and poise. Leading the way was Vladimir, his black steel armor gleaming and his flowing cape lending him an imposing aura. Behind him, Siraz walked with effortless elegance, her cheongsam catching the light. Naruto followed, hood drawn over his face, obscuring his features. Kenshin trailed next, alert and scanning the room, while Chris strolled in with a casual swagger, cigarette dangling lazily as he concealed tense muscles. The group stopped in the center of the chamber and bowed to the Hokage. Vladimir straightened and addressed the assembly. "Council members of Konoha, thank you for accepting us. After fleeing Kiri, we had nowhere to call our own, but now, thanks to you, we finally do." The calm, commanding tone of Vladimir's voice caused several civilians to blanch, recognizing the weight in his words. Hayashi Hyuga, sensing a noble presence akin to his own, spoke first. Welcome, Lord Teeps. I hope your clan finds a second home here. Yet I must confess, I have never heard of your clan before. Might I ask why? Vladimir offered a measured smile. It is not surprising, Lord Hyuga. Influential members of Kiri long kept our existence hidden. We were considered their secret weapon against Konoha. A secret weapon. That's quite a claim for a small clan, Hayashi replied. Could you explain further? Vladimir's dark gaze swept the room. Kiri always understood that in a full-scale war, Konoha would prevail through sheer numbers. Our clan has always specialized in infiltration and assassination. The plan was that, alongside the Seven Swordsmen, we would infiltrate and eliminate the Hokage and ANBU before the main forces struck. Our shadow techniques and specialized weaponry made this seem entirely possible. Most of what he said was a fabrication, carefully crafted from the Hokage records and the information he'd gleaned about Kiri. Inoichi Yamanaka leaned forward, intrigued. You mentioned shadow jutsu. I thought such techniques were unique to the Nara clan. Vladimir looked directly at Shikaku Nara. While many shadow jutsu belong to the Nara, ours are different. If I'm correct, most Nara techniques serve support roles. Shikaku nodded, prompting him to continue. Our shadows are weapons, short-range, fleeting, but lethal. They are meant for direct combat to strike and kill. Vladimir's words carried a chilling weight. A formidable skill indeed, Lord Teeps, Inoichi said, a hint of respect in his voice. Danzo, seated beside the Hokage, interjected. I must ask why you chose Konoha. If your clan was once a threat to us, why come here voluntarily? Vladimir's hands clenched briefly, but he restrained himself. My wife and I sought only a safe place for our son to grow. Konoha offered that safety. Danzo's eyes narrowed. And yet you brought here the Jinchuriki you took from us? The council fell silent, all eyes turning to the smaller figure behind Vladimir. We took nothing, Vladimir said calmly. 4 years ago, one of our members found a boy near death. We used our techniques to save him. He has lived with us since. We saved him. We did not steal him. Only the Hokage and a few surviving ANBU knew the truth of that night, leaving Danzo with no argument. Naruto finally stepped forward, pulling back his hood to reveal silver hair and a whiskerless face. I am Naruto Teeps. 4 years ago, my parents saved me from death. But when they did, the Kyuubi died. Gasps echoed through the chamber. The moment the Kyuubi perished, Naruto Uzumaki ceased to exist. The blonde Jinchuriki is gone. I am Naruto Teeps, a shinobi of Konoha. 6:04 p.m., somewhere in the forest near Konoha, Naruto sat cross-legged in a quiet clearing, eyes shut tight, emanating an energy that betrayed a deep meditation. Hovering a foot above the ground, 6 orbs of darkness circled him in silent rhythm. Moments passed in tense stillness, until Naruto's expression shifted from focus to pain. His muscles tensed, fighting an invisible struggle. Slowly the orbs flickered and vanished, one by one. With a sudden oomph, he tumbled to the ground, sprawled and groaning. Stretching to ease stiffness, he muttered, I almost had the next one manifest. At least I'm getting the hang of controlling them. A voice in his mind interjected. No progress. Same as yesterday, you're an idiot. Naruto snapped back, defensive. I had more control this time. You're just trying to stop me from using your power. Oh, the horror. How will I survive knowing you're onto my plan? The fox replied sarcastically. Relax, I actually want you to use me. It's my only chance to move, metaphorically speaking. You have no legs, Naruto pointed out. It's a metaphor, moron, Kurama snapped. Well, you could have said so. I just did. This conversation's going nowhere, Kurama sighed. Neither have I, Naruto shot back, grinning. Let's get back to your failed training attempt. It wasn't a failure. I kept 6 orbs fully manifest for a whole minute, Naruto said, pride shining through. And yesterday, 6. For how long? A minute. Exactly. What? You aren't even listening to yourself. Pretend I didn't hear that. You know, you still won't unlock me without rage. Anger is key. Worst advice ever, and I've had some terrible ideas before, Naruto muttered dryly. I don't get why this is such a big deal. We Biju are born from humanity's darkest emotions. I happen to be the embodiment of rage, so it only makes sense that your own anger would let you tap into my power. It's not complicated, Kurama said, sounding slightly offended. I'm not telling you to go around murdering villagers or anything. Then why does it feel like you want me to go into a full-on berserker rage? Naruto shot back, his voice sharp with frustration. Deep down, Naruto knew Kurama had a point, but the thought of risking it made him uneasy. His father had warned him about the dangers of losing control. For a vampire, especially one just starting like him, giving in to rage could be catastrophic. Sure, vampires could feel anger like anyone else, but letting it run unchecked meant entering a berserk state, attacking everything nearby with unrestrained power until nothing remained. For Naruto, the stakes were even higher. Losing control could trigger Kurama's immense power, turning him into a rampaging vampire fueled by the mightiest of Biju. Not exactly a situation he wanted to experiment with. Naturally, he hesitated. As he mulled over the risks, something felt off. There was a missing piece to this moment, a glaring absence he couldn't quite place. After a few seconds of tense silence, it hit him. His mind was usually never quiet. Kurama always had something to say, teasing him relentlessly. But now nothing. "Hello, Kurama, anybody home?" he called out mentally. Silence. "Oi, Fluffy, say something, you giant overgrown furball," Naruto shouted in frustration. "I am not a plush toy," Kurama's roar echoed in his mind. "Don't yell, I just wanted your attention," Naruto yelled back. "Then stop insulting me and we won't have a problem." "Now what do you want?" the fox snapped. "You just went completely quiet for a few seconds when you usually would have been teasing me. What's going on?" Naruto asked, lowering his voice. "Someone's coming." "And fast," Kurama replied. "Why didn't you just say that earlier?" "I wasn't certain they were heading this way," Kurama explained. "And now—" "They are," the fox said. Naruto sprang to his feet, scanning the forest. "How many? Where are they coming from?" "Two, from Konoha together." Focusing, Naruto sifted through the forest's usual sounds, searching for anything unusual. He picked up the faint thump of someone running through the trees and tried to identify them through scent, hoping his enhanced vampiric senses could give him a clue. Too far to catch much, he turned to Kurama. "Anything stand out?" Kurama remained silent for a moment, sifting through Naruto's memories to detect anomalies. "We've got cheap cologne, oiled steel, probably kunai or weapons, paper, nervous sweat, and a hint of floral perfume," he reported. "That's totally useless. Any idea who it is?" Naruto said flatly. "Don't quote me, but it's likely Mizuki. As for the second person, a girl, probably kidnapped judging by her fear." Naruto's eyes darkened. "How far out?" he demanded as he pushed himself faster. "About a mile. At this speed, a minute. Then just 2 minutes, till sunset, and that's when the fun begins," Kurama said with a dark chuckle. Naruto smirked internally and ran in silence for a while before a roar erupted inside his mind, so loud it made him stumble painfully to the ground. "Kurama, what's gotten you so worked up?" he asked. "I was right. That bastard kidnapped someone, a girl," the fox growled, struggling to contain his anger. Naruto blinked in surprise. "Wait, you're an ancient, bloodthirsty demon who wouldn't think twice about killing hundreds, and you're upset over a girl being kidnapped. I may crave blood, but I have my limits. Hurting a female just for fun is unnatural. I'd never do it if I could help it," Kurama replied, softer now. "And I believe the girl is Hinata." Naruto's restraint snapped. Channeling all his energy into speed, he became a black streak racing through the forest. In moments, he spotted Mizuki hauling Hinata over his shoulder. A psychotic grin spread across Naruto's face as he devised a plan. Quickly, he shifted ahead of Mizuki and knelt on the forest floor. "Hope this works," he muttered, performing a rapid series of hand signs before punching the ground with all his strength. "Anapu, Shikai Doyo!" A gray wall shot up over 100 yards ahead, with walls rising on either side, an iron arena designed to trap Mizuki, who would have no escape. Naruto leapt into the trees, waiting for his prey. Soon he heard leaves crunching. Mizuki had arrived. "Beautiful night for a stroll, isn't it? But I doubt that was your plan," Naruto said, his voice deeper and raspier than usual. Mizuki froze, dropping Hinata and scanning the trees. "Who are you? Let me pass. I'm on official Konoha business," he barked, beads of sweat forming as he realized he couldn't sense any chakra nearby. Naruto laughed, moving closer. "A terrible liar for a shinobi. That girl is the heir to one of Konoha's great clans. Konoha wouldn't take kindly to her kidnapping. Foolish and illegal, don't you think?" Mizuki flinched. Why do you care what happens inside Konoha? Curiosity and boredom, Naruto replied. Mizuki's heartbeat raced. I'm a high-ranked chunin. Delay me further and I'll kill you. How can you if you can't even find me? Naruto chuckled, landing on a branch above him. This is your last warning. One false move and you die. False move? Who said I was making one? Naruto growled, leaping to a branch directly above Mizuki. Mizuki exhaled, trying to stay composed. Then leave me be. I'm not done, Mizuki. I'm not trying. Naruto's grin widened. I'm killing you. Say that to my face, coward. Without another word, Naruto dropped from the branch, landing a few feet in front of the stunned Chunin. Mizuki's initial laughter quickly turned to fury. You little demon, you think you can fight me? I'll enjoy tearing you apart, freak of nature. Is that so? Well, Mizuki, I think it's time I return the favor for the advice you gave me earlier. Here's mine, don't blink or you'll miss it. The two faced each other in tense silence, each studying the other, trying to anticipate the next move. Suddenly, a soft groan shattered the quiet. Hinata stirred, blinking as she struggled to sit up. Naruto-kun, is that you? What's happening? Where am I? A twisted grin spread across Mizuki's face as he answered her frightened questions. Well, my little Hyuga pet, ready for a trip to Kumo. Too bad you're coming anyway. They're paying 500,000 ryo for a living Hyuga female. He chuckled darkly at Hinata's terrified expression. But first, I'm going to finish the Kyuubi once and for all. Hinata froze, horror overtaking her confusion. Her voice trembled as her long-repressed stutter returned. But the KK Kyuubi, it's been dead for years. Mizuki laughed, the sound manic. Ha, you couldn't be more wrong. Even the fourth Hokage couldn't destroy the beast. So he sealed it into a human vessel, leaving us the job of finishing it ourselves. His gaze locked on hers, eyes wild. Ever wonder why Naruto-kun was always treated so cruelly? Why the village hated him, beat him, shunned him? Hinata's face drained of color as the pieces fell into place. That's right. He's despised because everyone knew he carries the demon fox. She turned to Naruto, eyes wide with desperation, silently begging him to deny Mizuki's claims. But instead of protesting, Naruto looked down, his expression unreadable. Overcome by fear, Hinata fainted again. Taking this as a sign that Naruto had given in, Mizuki drew a massive shuriken from his back. In his hands, the weapon seemed to spin like a buzzing saw, inching closer to its target. Naruto finally looked up, meeting Mizuki's eyes. You're really foolish, Mizuki, Mizuki scoffed. Oh, and why's that? Seems to me the one about to die is the fool. Naruto's grin widened unnervingly. If I'm truly the nine-tailed fox that even the fourth couldn't beat, why would you even stand a chance? Mizuki's eyes widened. He had never considered that. Doubt crept in. Naruto's tone shifted, cold and steady. And one more thing, everything you saw at the academy, that was only a fraction of my strength. During daylight, most of my power is sealed. Only under the moon and stars can I unleash my full potential. You lie, the fourth sealed all your power. You're just a brat now. Then why do you smell fear? Mizuki growled and hurled the spinning shuriken with all his might. Naruto, however, decided to toy with him. Just before impact, he leapt over the weapon effortlessly, landing with a smirk. You missed, he said, bored. Mizuki's veins throbbed in anger, and he lunged into his next attack, but the world seemed to slow around Naruto. Everything sharpened, every detail crystal clear. His true power had awakened. A sinister grin spread across his face. Too bad you won't get another chance, Mizuki scoffed. Naruto's gaze lifted to the sky. You don't understand, Mizuki. By day, humans rule under the sun, the light exposes threats. But at night, the shadows rise, the beasts of darkness hunt, there's nowhere to hide. His eyes glowed eerily as he looked back. And in the dark, nothing can save you from me. Shut up and die, demon, Mizuki yelled, throwing another shuriken. Naruto caught it effortlessly with a flick of his wrist. Is that all you've got? He mocked, shattering it. Mizuki panicked but launched a dozen more shuriken and several kunai. Each one passed harmlessly through Naruto. Looking for something? Naruto taunted. Mizuki spun around, expecting a clone, but it was only afterimage. You can't move that fast, Mizuki shouted, tossing another kunai. You won't hit me, just give up. Something snapped. Mizuki's eyes glinted with madness as he threw a kunai at Hinata's unconscious body. But before it could leave his hand, a steel grip clamped down on his wrist. Naruto's eyes, once bright blue, were now icy and lethal. Fear surged through Mizuki. Even trained to suppress it, he felt instinctively that this was beyond him. Naruto's voice rumbled, animalistic and deadly. "You just made a grave mistake. You attacked someone I care about. I was going to let you live, but now I'll tear you apart." Bones in Mizuki's wrist shattered with a sickening crunch. He fell to his knees, screaming in pain as Naruto tightened his grip. "Do your worst, demon," Mizuki spat, hoping to unnerve him. Naruto's grin only widened. "My worst." The teen's voice dripped with madness. His head tilted back, mouth opening impossibly wide, fangs bared. Eyes turned a blazing scarlet. What are you?" Mizuki gasped. "I'm a monster that hunts monsters." With terrifying speed, Naruto lunged, clamping his jaws around Mizuki's neck. Blood flowed freely as the Chunin choked and struggled, but his movements slowed. Moments later, Naruto released him, letting the lifeless body collapse, blood gushing as a small eep escaped into the stillness. Naruto turned to see Hinata, fully conscious, pressing herself against a tree in an attempt to hide. Glancing over her, he realized that although a considerable amount of blood had splattered across her, she was physically unharmed. Mentally, however, the trauma of what she had just witnessed was another matter entirely. "Well, that completely ruins my plan. Did she see everything?" Naruto wondered anxiously. "Kit, look at yourself. 5 feet away from her, covered in blood, fangs bared, blood-red eyes. Even if she didn't catch every detail, she'll connect the dots." "She already suspects there's more to you than meets the eye," Kurama replied, his tone almost apologetic. "What should I do? I never wanted her to see this side of me," Naruto said, fear threading through his voice. "Nothing I could say will fix this instantly. My advice, take it slow," Kurama answered simply. Trying to calm her, Naruto approached cautiously, careful not to seem threatening. Unfortunately, Hinata's fear-filled mind interpreted his careful steps as the approach of a predator. When he noticed her pulse spike, he froze. A few steps back, her heartbeat slowed slightly, and he felt a pang of disappointment. Finally, her trembling voice broke the silence. "Aminn next, en Narud-kun." The fear surrounding her was almost tangible. It took Naruto a moment to understand her meaning. She was asking if he intended to kill her next. The thought horrified him as much as it terrified her. Shocked, his fangs and crimson eyes reverted to their normal forms. "Hinata-chan, I would never hurt you, not even in my worst nightmare. I could never do that. The very thought makes my heart ache," he cried, dropping to his knees in a plea for her forgiveness. Tears welled in her eyes. I can't believe it. I don't even know who you are anymore. The Naruto I love would never do something like this." Her tears fell freely now, her gaze searching his. Tell me the truth, what are you?" Naruto stared at her tear-streaked face, struggling to come up with an answer that wasn't true. He didn't want her to know what he had become. Afraid of losing her, he hesitated. "You can't lie your way out of this, Kit. The truth is the only chance to keep her," Kurama interjected. "But what if she stops loving me? I can't bear that," Naruto thought in anguish. "Then you keep loving her anyway. If being apart makes her happy, let her be happy. That is the duty of love, to care for her happiness above your own," the fox said wisely. "Are you sure this is the right choice?" "It's the only way she might stay," Kurama insisted. Taking a deep breath, Naruto finally spoke. "Hinata-chan, this is me. I'm not the same person I was before I left." She studied him carefully. "Naruto, did Mizuki speak the truth? Are you really a demon?" Naruto inhaled slowly, trying to steady his racing heart. "Yes, I am no longer human." Grief shadowed her face. "But I am not the Kyuubi. That part was a lie," he said, his voice steady with conviction. A flicker of hope returned to her eyes. Then what are you?" he exhaled, gathering himself. "Hinata-chan, I'm a vampire." Understanding dawned, and then she fainted. "Shit, what do I do now?" Naruto shouted in panic. "Take her to the castle. At least she'll be safe until she wakes." Kurama roared in agreement. "Yeah, I'm sure Dad will love me bringing my girlfriend to a hidden vampire castle," Naruto muttered sarcastically. "Unless you have a better idea, pick her up and move," Kurama snapped. "I still think this is a terrible idea," Naruto muttered, lifting Hinata bridal style and heading toward the castle. Meanwhile, deep in the underworld stretched endlessly with mountains and caves. millions of hollows forming in cliffs, ridges, and wherever space allowed. Most were unremarkable, dark, damp holes. A black-cloaked figure arrived at one such ordinary cavern. The figure's features were completely hidden under a heavy cowl. Black leather gloves glinted as the figure traced a strange symbol on the rock. A blue glyph appeared briefly, then vanished, leaving the wall to shimmer like morning mist. Confident, the figure stepped through the mist into a previously concealed passage. The path wound deep into the mountain, ending at a plain wooden door. The figure paused, then pushed it open, entering as if they owned the place. Inside, 5 similarly cloaked figures sat around a large table. The one at the head of the table spoke softly. "You're late," the newcomer replied, voice rasping with disuse. "I am never late. I arrive precisely when needed, no sooner, no later." As the newcomer sat, a third voice chimed in, excited and curious. "How fascinating. Is that instinct or a skill refined over time?" "Likely a practical skill," a deep, measured voice offered. "Money isn't everything, you know," an older voice interjected. "Better than hiding constantly, old hag," the deep voice shot back. "Cease your prattling or I will silence you," rasped another. "Thank you, his chatter was getting tiresome," said the velvet voice. "I could do the same to you," Rasp replied. "How rude, I was merely thanking you," Velvet protested. "No, you were buttering him up," the old one commented. The excited one squealed, "All this info gives me goosebumps. Where's my notepad?" "Quiet, fool," the deep voice commanded. This banter continued until a silent figure rose. Instantly, the room fell into deathly quiet. The figure sat back down, calm and authoritative. "If you would all stop bickering, we are here for a reason." The voice of a woman emerged from the hood. No one spoke. "Good, now any progress with the other clans?" she pressed. The old voice spoke. "The younger members are restless. They want to step out of hiding. Older members are hesitant." "And your lord, his stance?" "Unclear. He keeps his thoughts close. He may yet support us," replied the old one. The woman nodded, then turned to the excited one. "And you?" "Many support, but few wish to act directly. Most will observe. Success will inspire more to join," came the answer. Velvet's voice added, "Only the Lysamber and Tzimis are guaranteed opponents. Others remain uncertain." "Then we proceed quietly. No one outside this circle may learn of our plans," the woman decreed. "Why not eliminate the opposition now?" Rasp suggested. "Too risky. Successors may react differently and suspicion could expose us," the deep voice countered. "We continue as we always have, silently," Velvet concluded. "What of the king and his family?" the woman asked imperiously. Silence fell again. "You all are incompetent. How can no one know his whereabouts?" she shrieked. "My lady, my network is unsure, but we have clues from his heir's identity," Velvet said. "And the boy is from the elemental nations, a difficult-to-reach realm with challenging humans to spy upon," he explained. "I have contacts among their shinobi," Rasp added, pride in his tone. "I'll investigate, but it will take time." "Ensure thoroughness. He must be unable to interfere when we act," the woman ordered. "Anything else?" All shook their heads. "Good. Meeting again in 1 month, third location," she declared. As the others departed, she touched a glyph, opening a secret passage. She vanished, sealing it behind her. Moments later, 2 hidden figures emerged, one with green eyes, the other sapphire. "What is she planning this time, Mikhail?" the green-eyed one asked. "Vladimir, who knows, likely seeking power as always," Mikhail replied. "Predictable, at least, but we should inform the king," Vladimir said. "Report what?" "That she's scheming, but we don't know how." "Worthless," Mikhail snapped. "We watch, learn, then report," Mikhail commanded. "I hope she doesn't create too much chaos," Vladimir muttered as they slipped away, unaware of the magnitude of her plans.